The latest Starfield news comes in the wake of some rumors from somebody who got some things right about the Xbox Developer Direct, and I think it is a worrying potential pattern for the year of 2023, and I'm arguing that just delay it. Just delay Starfield, please. I'm going to walk through everything that's happened, the leaks, my thoughts on this, the community's response to the potential of another Starfield delay, and why I am strongly arguing that I want this game to get as much time as it can. And I'm going to be using a lot of Phil Spencer's words to say they're going to put themselves in a really bad spot if they push this game out before it is ready. So if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss these live shows. I put all the good information right here at the beginning so you don't have to go searching for it. So what exactly happened? I don't like running with every leak, with every rumor, but I thought this would be a really, really good opinion piece to say, in light of this rumor, I'm going to take up the position that you should just delay Starfield, okay? This should not be coming out before it's ready. According to GameRevolution.com, on January 25th, user Horns had called the release of Tango Gameworks Stealth Drop Game Pass game at the Direct show Hi-Fi Rush. If you didn't see that, you should definitely check it out. It's on Game Pass. It kind of went viral. It's a good game. People are saying that it's awesome. It was a huge win for Xbox, and this guy claimed that that was going to happen, so he may actually have inside information. Now, what else did the leaker say? Well, this is when it starts to get concerning. According to the leaker, Microsoft has been looking to blunt the loss of its Azure cloud division, with development Redfall being rushed and in rough shape, along with Bethesda apparently being pressured to release Starfield in June of 2023 to recoup fiscal year earnings. So this is the direct quote from the leaker. He says, one thing Microsoft floated was releasing Starfield before fiscal year, aka June 2023. Redfall is coming first and is in rough shape still, and probably should use more quality control, but it's still in better shape than Starfield. Now, something baked into this leak that people might have missed is that he just confirmed, if this leak is true, he just confirmed that you won't see Starfield before Redfall. Like, you're not going to see it. These people that are like, oh, we're going to get a surprise Super Bowl commercial, and then they're going to launch it in March. Well, if this leaker is correct, because he got Hi-Fi Rush right, that's not happening. They've already got Starfield slated to be after Redfall, even if Microsoft gets their way. Now, according to the leaker, quote, Bethesda wants more time with Starfield, and if they get their way, Starfield will come out in the fall of 2023. If Microsoft gets their way, it comes out in the fiscal year. If Starfield comes out in June, expect it to be in rough shape, end quote. Okay. This is worrying, okay? There was a line about Diablo as well. That video is going to hit the Reforge dungeon. We have a channel just for Diablo updates. If you want to subscribe to it, check it out. But he said something about Diablo as well. My main concern has been the community response to this, okay? The community response has been to say, listen, we're going to break into two camps here. There's one camp that is like, absolutely not. You better not delay this game. It better come out on time. And I'm like, listen, if this is the final straw for you, then I've got bad news for you. It launching early and not being ready would likely also be the final straw for you. Like, if you're that frustrated, if you're that angry, if you're that anxious to get your hands on a game, you're not going to be happy with it coming out before it's ready. I've had people leave comments on my videos and have basically said they would be done with Xbox if Starfield gets another delay. They'd be like, that's it, I'm done. I had guys saying they were going to sell their Xboxes. Now, I don't think anybody's actually going to do that, okay? I understand the passion about another potential disappointment, and I think that side is getting ahead of itself. If that's the position that you're taking, I highly doubt people would ignore Starfield if and when it finally came out, and if it was great, they would play it. You're kidding yourself if you're going to sit on the sidelines of this game that looks to be one of the biggest launches of the year, okay? Especially if it is good. Now, the second camp is the camp that I'm in. Take as much time as you need. In fact, my video, I'm saying, please delay it, okay? Please, for everybody's sake, do not push this game out before it's ready. If you're choosing between landing in the fiscal year or taking the time that the devs need, then just delay the game. This would really come back on Phil Spencer and Microsoft if Bethesda launches Starfield in June and it's clearly not ready. Phil recently said that he wants teams to, quote, own their date. He spoke with TheVerge.com about the Starfield and Redfall delay and said, quote, "It isn't really a decision to move a game after spending the team's effort over multiple years to just get to a point where you know you're not going to deliver the game you want on the date that was promised." He said, "Now at some level, because I've shipped games too early, we have experienced shipping games too early." Yes, you have, Phil. You have experienced shipping games too early. Don't do it again. These games should be given as much time as needed, no matter how disappointing that is for the fans that have been waiting for these games to come out. 2023 isn't going to be a memorable year just because you got product out the door if it wasn't ready. He readily admits they have experience shipping games too early, and if this leaker is to be believed, they're aiming to do it again with Starfield and Redfall. And speaking more on Starfield, Phil said this, quote, "In hindsight, when you look at a game like Starfield, it's taken so long and so much investment in new IP from the team, the decision to give the team time to build the game that they feel they should be building is just the right thing to do." I agree, Phil. I like Phil. I'm not being hard on him. I agree with this quotation. Yes, the amount of time that was put into this game, how ambitious that it is, a new IP, a flagship for the Xbox ecosystem. Yep, that's the right thing to do, which means if you have to do it again, then do it again. However, Phil seemingly gives himself a business out with the following quote in the same interview. "There are financial implications to those decisions. Weighing what is going to happen, whether it's platform growth, subscriber growth, or frankly the revenue that you generate when a new game launches, those are business decisions. You definitely have to weigh the outcome of those decisions." Yeah, well, worryingly, that's the line of reasoning that's being leaked. They're worried about the fiscal year. They're worried about the financials. They're worried about recouping cost. And he seems to indicate in this interview that there's a point in time where that matters more than if the game is ready or not. Now, he drops a line that acquisition can help with these situations, which I think is hilarious. He's almost sort of like trying to say, hey, acquisitions are a good thing, right? He says, "For any game, but definitely for our game Starfield and Redfall, which are our first big Xbox games with ZeniMax coming into the team, I just wanted to make sure that those teams felt they had all the support they could get from Xbox and to maybe feel some of the benefit of being part of a larger organization that has other revenue streams and other helpful things going on." So he's sort of sliding that in there. Like, yeah, it's pretty nice that these companies are owned by a really big organization. And nudge, nudge, Activision Blizzard deal. Yeah, that could be really good. I kind of caught that. I was like, I know what you're saying, Phil. And that's fine. They're trying to push the PR in their favor. Sure, do it. That's seeking out their business interests. But Phil gives credence to allowing for another delay with the following quote. This was sort of the end of the summary of the interview. He said, "One of the things I've learned is that you want teams to feel like they own their dates. They deliver better when they feel like their own destiny with their games, like they own their own destiny. So you wait for the real signal from the creative and the production teams." So listen, I'm going to put Phil Spencer into a bit of a corner here. If Starfield releases before it is ready, then this leak makes it look like it took place at sort of the protest of Bethesda. Then you can't blame Bethesda. You can't walk out in the public and say we let the creative teams, we let production, we want the devs to own their date, and then you push the game out when Bethesda's saying, no, we would prefer the game to launch in the fall. If it launches before it's ready, this leak makes it really, really tough for anybody to blame anybody other than Microsoft. Now, it's surely a shared blame situation. If history has shown anything, though, games launching too early is typically on the publisher. They're like, gotta get it out. Got to get it out. Devs are typically saying, we need more time. We're not ready. We need to delay. That's been a common trope and relationship between the developers and the publishers in the last couple of years, maybe even the last decade. In this case, that would be Microsoft. They're basically the publisher of this game. They own Bethesda. They own ZeniMax. So we have a leak indicating that they're thinking along those lines. This leak is easy to believe because we've seen this before in the gaming industry time and time again, right? If you are considering this game and its launch date, you're likely wondering whether or not it's going to be ready when it finally comes out. There's already concerns swirling about performance, draw distance, render distance, pop in. We've had our own frames per second debate. If you want to check out my video about why this game better not be capped at 30 FPS, you can check that out. I have my own concerns about how well it's going to run on the Series S. So let's just get some thoughts and questions so I can conclude my opening monologue. Microsoft has had a strong start this year with a ghost drop of a game that went kind of viral and a good showing of games with dates. However, the lack of a date for Forza Motorsport has me worried that that's going to put extra pressure on Starfield to land in June. Signs are already pointing to the fact that Forza Motorsport will not be landing in the first half of 2023 because we don't have a release date. They were a part of the Xbox Developer Direct. They did their own Forza stream, and there was no release date. And that game is apparently coming out in the next 4 months. We're basically a day or two away from February. So between February and June, there's not a lot of time there. Why don't you have a release date yet? Unless, of course, Forza Motorsport's not coming out in the first half. That would be one of the first games to not make it in that first half as we were promised, which would then put pressure on Microsoft to get Starfield out the door to make good on that promise. Those pushing for an early launch due to the promise from Microsoft, I think, will be twice as mad if it launches and it's in bad shape. It's better to make them wait and deliver something polished than just giving them something that's going to add to their frustration. You wouldn't beg somebody to take something out of the oven before it's ready just because you had been waiting for a long time. Do you want to eat some undercooked chicken? Probably not. You want to eat that cake if it's not ready and it's all mushy and doughy? Probably not. That's kind of the argument here, is it's going to make things worse if you've waited all this time to launch something that is not ready. Another thing to consider is that if both Redfall and Starfield launch in poor states, many will wonder about the future of Xbox. Most of the first-party studios right now are heads down and they're working, so the cadence would once again be dry and disappointing. I have another video forthcoming about Hellblade and why I don't think it's coming in 2023, but these rumors cause me to be concerned that Ninja Theory's being put in a similar situation of needing a game to get out the door for fiscal and business reasons, just so Microsoft can have a bunch of MVPs, minimum viable products, on Game Pass. I recently did an episode with 30 and So Gaming and my brother, and that's something that 30 and So Gaming continues to say about Game Passes. They're just going to want to get a bunch of MVPs out the door. This could start to feel like you're just spinning your tires in mud. The faster you try to get out of the situation, the worse you're going to make it. Sure, shipping games can look great if it actually starts to happen at a good rhythm, but it's not going to matter if they're not ready for launch. There's a reason that Hi-Fi Rush is a victory. There's a reason it is a slam dunk for Microsoft. They didn't just ghost drop it and surprise everybody. They didn't just add value to Game Pass. They launched a good game. That's the ticket. You can't just say, well, we launched games. Okay, fine. That's what you're literally supposed to do. It would be like going to a restaurant and they'd be like, well, we brought food to you. Well, that doesn't matter if it's undercooked, overcooked, or tastes terrible. No one's going to say, well, I got food or got it on time. No one's going to take that argumentation. Finally, and lastly, and I think most significantly, I am holding Phil Spencer and Microsoft to their word about Starfield and Redfall. Let the teams own their date. You want a good fiscal year? Then start winning awards and launching games worthy of it. Rushing minimum viable products out the door will not stop the bleeding. It will simply expedite it. And that is my open. 15-minute show open, and I'm telling you, just delay this game. Starfield, just delay it. I'm reading this rumor, and then I started looking at this Hellblade stuff, and I'm like, oh, frickin' Microsoft, I swear if that's what your plan is this year, bro, I swear it ain't gonna work. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm ready for a spicy day. I don't know if anybody's gonna argue with me on this, though, right? Great open, thank you. Is anybody going to debate this? Like, no, it needs to come out. Needs to come out in June. Like, what happened with Hellblade? That'll be my upload later the day. I recorded everything this morning. I'm putting a lot of pressure on Creature. He's probably angry at me right now. I didn't have a chance to record anything yesterday, so I recorded all of my videos this morning. My short, I recorded my my upload for the rundown channel, and I recorded the Hellblade video. That, if we get that video out today, I think you guys are really gonna like it. It's right in line with this subject. Like, I think it'll be the perfect upload to capstone this episode as well. Hilly says it needs to come out by June. It's already late, says Hilly. And thank you so much for jumping back in as a VIP. Guys, the member goal is there. Let's get the coffee in frame as well. There we go. Who wants to be the first coffee order? Who wants to be the first member order of the day? You better have some good lungs, because that vid is going to be well after you want it. It's going to take that long to render. It's only a 10-minute. I didn't even go long. Yo, Rockin' Robin coming in with a 5 gifted member. Anti-depressive Jamkas ZR, Zach Johnson, and H. Brownie. We can take this stream the distance. Is 2.5 hours not enough time to get it rendered and uploaded? I knew it was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be tough, but it's so perfect for today's topic. 7 videos in front of it. Dang it. I didn't think about that. I did not think about the fact that you'd have other stuff going on. Yep. Shoot. It's such a perfect video to follow this stream. Lono, something that's off from that leak is the Azure thing. You got to understand, Azure brings in billions and billions of dollars. Microsoft Gaming is like nothing compared to it. It's a line item. That was the one part of it that felt very strange to me. It's like, why would that be included? So Microsoft's going to try to recoup cost of losses on Azure? Like, what? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, if you're, in my mind, those two things, as you're saying, they feel very not related, like, at all. If I'm looking at the gaming side of Microsoft, I'm not even considering that, but I don't know how they're doing it. And we don't even know when the Starfield showcase will be at this point. The Starfield release date is worrying. I forgot to put you on my short. Do you think the delays of Starfield and Forza etc. is going to cause Microsoft to pressure other devs to push their games? The hopper is pretty dry at the moment. That's precisely what I'm worried about. Thank you guys so much for watching over here on The Talk. You want to get us to our first 1,000 likes. If you guys want to get us to 200 likes over on YouTube, Rockin' Robin kicking things off with the first 5 gifted members, and Silver Subaru is going to get a red badge, 24 months of membership. Let's go. Keep up the good work. Love the streams. I really hope that when Starfield comes out, it is good. I hope the exact same thing. Like, I don't want... to me, it's not just about, oh yeah, get a game out the door. That's not going to make me happy. It doesn't matter to me. It's like, oh well, it doesn't. And honestly, consumers can sit here and shout and scream about this all they want. I'm here to tell you, that's not what they want. These guys that were getting in my comments and they were like, just get the game out the door. I was like, are you kidding me? You'll be so angry if they take your advice. Like, I know you're irritated. I know you're disappointed. I know you feel like, you know, they haven't made a good on their promises. I 100% get that. I'm on, at one level, I'm on your side. But at another level, I'm not on your side. I'm like, no, you're not going to be very happy if they do that. You're going to be ticked. You're going to be extremely ticked off if that's what they end up doing. Because you're going to say, we waited all this time for this. It'll add insult to injury. It'll make things worse. You're not going to say, well, at least we got the game. And I know people are like, Todd Howard says it's not how a game launches, it's how it ends up or whatever. That's a terrible mindset as well. I don't think anybody is going to say, yeah, it'll get there. Good morning, Feed. Good to see you in the chat. We got to get some gifted members going here. Feed does not have a membership, and we cannot abide that as a community. Let's get my other camera going. I I have to get a new cable. The dadgum thing, I've been using it to record Lego vids, and I must have bent the stupid cable. So I have too short of a cable now to do the Lego stuff. So I had to use another cable, and it's shorter. Nothing can be as bad as Cyberpunk at launch. Echo, I'm so sorry. I don't know why that happened. I fixed it. Okay. Guys, it's a new format we're going for. It's a new format we're going for. When we go to this scene, I want it to feel like you're in a stadium. Yeah, but when I switch the cable, it must have wait. Yeah, oh, I know what it did. I switched the cable. I like re-added it. Hang on just a minute. Hang on. Let me go in here. Can we do this? No, that's not going to work. I don't know if I can fix it. Yeah, no. We're just going to have to do that. There we go. Oh, well. I must have re-added it. It was like, yeah, you want to use that audio device, right? You want to use the microphone and the camera, right? No, I don't. It'll sound like Dookie. Yo, thank you so much, Jay Cashin, for a month. Jumping back in as a member. It was like Optimus Prime had it. I'm not reading that out loud. Drexen jumping back in with the VIP. Quality audio from you just now is about what my expectations of Starfield are. What a perfect parallel. Yeah, I don't think Starfield's going to be that bad. Good morning, brother. Hope your day is going well. Thank you guys so much for 1,000 likes over on the Tickety Talk. We appreciate that very much. And we are nearing 200 likes on the live stream as well. Smash that thumbs up button. It helps more people find this video. Parasito says, this whole Starfield situation smells very faintly of a Bethesda Hail Mary before Microsoft repurposes the whole thing, either due to failure to deliver, user retention, or management disagreements. Yeah, but see, Starfield has been a huge game for them for a really long time, right? It's been a really, really big game for them for a really, really long time. So it would be really weird for them to like suddenly be okay with Microsoft saying, oh no, shove it out well before it's ready. You know what I mean? Drexen says, let's go member train. If you guys want to do a member train, you have to start gifting them, man. I appreciate it. So was Fallout 76. Yeah, but see, Fallout 76 was like a big surprise. Thank you so much, Jay Cashin, for doing a Member Plus membership. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Fallout 76 was at the same level of anticipation for them as Starfield. It also was a completely different team, Parasito. Like, I don't know at all if that's a fair shot to take. Tommy Humphreys coming in with 14 months says, not worrying about how a game launches sounds like the root of the problem. I was being a little hyperbolic, says Solemn. I don't think Starfield will be bad, although it could be. I am 98.9% positive it's not going to meet people's expectations and hopes. I'm positive on that. Live looks official, AF. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We live stream on YouTube as well as over here, so thank you for watching in both places. If you want to support me directly, you can hit the star button, become a subscriber. Over on YouTube, you can hit the join button. There's also a variety of ways to support me. You can use my code over at Gamer Advantage with my glasses, or if you ever like my shirt, it comes from 80s Tees. Same deal, same code Lono. How long can you keep delaying your game, though? They got to start working on Elder Scrolls 6 sometime soon. Vigil, listen, I know there's a sweet spot, okay? I know there's a sweet spot where, maybe not a sweet spot, I know there's a tipping point. That's a better way of saying it. There is a tipping point where it's like, it's been long enough, you got to get this game out the dadgum door. Like, I acknowledge that. I readily acknowledge that. It's one of those things where, in my mind, if you're going to do this and you're going to win people over to your ecosystem, then I think that has to be considered. You can't just say, oh no, get the game out the door. Because this is the challenge with the Microsoft approach with Game Pass. I was watching some of Doc Dark's vids, and he put out a really funny one singing about Sony, and how like, oh, he had to pay for Dead Space, but because he has Game Pass Ultimate, he doesn't have to pay for it or whatever. Like, listen, that's your audience. You got 25 to 30 million people that are expecting Game Pass to continue to get games. And if you deliver games that are no good, they're going to associate that with Game Pass. Now, I'm sure Microsoft would hope that the brand loyalty of Xbox fans would be like, no, it's not on Microsoft. This is Bethesda's fault. But eventually, you're going to have to ask the question. Like, I think people would associate the two things. They'd be like, well, Halo wasn't that great. Forza was good. Oh, and then Hi-Fi Rush was good. But if you hit 2 games out of field, basically, instead of hitting it out of the park, you like basically foul ball. I mean, come on, that's people will 100% say, well, this is a Game Pass game. These are Game Pass games. He has a great new video. I watched a couple of his vids this morning. What was the one? It was something about like, oh, he said that Xbox is winning 2023, and then he was like, listen, I'm just talking about January, right? I forget what he said in the latest video. Starfield Signal says, my hot take, Microsoft wants to delay Starfield until they had a bigger install base with the next-gen consoles. According to the latest Starfield leak, that is not true. If this leak is to be believed, then no. Microsoft is more interested in getting Starfield out the door in the fiscal year, which means it's coming in June. And Bethesda is like, hey, man, no. We want this thing to come out in the fall. And then I've got a video. Hopefully, I don't know if it's going to happen today. It'll be hard not to get it out the door because it's so in line with this discussion. Hellblade, the rumors about Hellblade coming out this year, it makes me worried too. Like, oh, are you putting pressure on Ninja Theory to do the same dadgum thing? Your comment about Halo being okay and Forza being good makes me wonder if Microsoft, or even gaming as a whole, is moving away from story-driven content due to profitability from live or pack-based games. Yeah, but here's the thing, Paris. Single-player games, story-driven games, aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere because they were some of the most commercially successful games the last couple of years. I don't think so. I definitely think you're going to see a rise in live service games, ongoing games. I don't think you're going to see that at the loss of narrative-focused games or single-player games. I don't think so. If Starfield lands in June, it'll be a disaster, even if the game is in great shape. Look at June. Well, yeah, okay, so look at June. You got Diablo 4, you got Final Fantasy 16, you got Street Fighter 6, you got a big event in Elder Scrolls. Like, so I just don't think so. I really don't think that's a good idea. You also have all the big events going on, which could help with the press and the marketing, but also could make it really, really hard for anybody to talk about Starfield. You have to think about what June is. June is the month where literally everybody is talking, everybody's announcing games, and you have some of the biggest games of the year launching. Street Fighter, Final Fantasy, and Diablo are big, well-known franchises, and they're basically all launching in June. Leaker's not believable. Trust guys like Jez instead. So why is the leaker not believable? He got Hi-Fi Rush right. Like, you're basically saying don't trust him, trust guys like Jez instead. Jez has gotten things wrong. So, like, I'm not saying that one is more trustworthy than the other. It's like when we get information from somebody who recently got stuff right. I literally said that about Jez the other day. I said I trust Jez on not thinking that you're going to see Starfield first half of 2023 because he's got good information. He knew about the developer direct before everybody else. Diablo's in bad shape, though, according to this fake insider. Yes, according to the leaker, he said also that Diablo 4 is in rough state and might get delayed, which actually lines up with other things that we know, that Diablo is going to have to crunch to get the game out the door. The leaker quoted some financial info that simply wasn't true. What info did he quote that wasn't true? There was no financial quotes. It was literally just a bunch of generic statements about, I mean, unless you can definitively prove that the statements about Azure are false, we won't know that, though. Do you have concrete info that that's not true? That they haven't lost money on Azure or Azure? It's Azure. Yeah, it's Azure. Hi-Fi Rush was an educated guess. As an Xbox guy, that was in the air for a while. An educated guess. How do you do an educated guess about a ghost drop? How? What's good, Myers? How are you? What's good, Tyler? How are you? I don't understand how you do that. How do you make an educated guess about a ghost drop surprise game? It was? Okay, let me explain to you what questions do. Questions want more information. So when someone says it's an educated guess and I say how and you say it was, that's not an answer. You're just restating it. It was an educated guess. How? It was. Oh, what a compelling answer. What, huh? What are you talking about? They only trust leakers if it's good news. Right. I genuinely think Bethesda wasn't making Starfield with the current expectations people have for it in mind. We weren't ready for the type of front and center attention and flagship status that was going. That is demonstrably false, Solemn. That's not true. If you go and look at any of the early press about Starfield, you don't think they were setting high expectations? The current expectations weren't set by Bethesda? Get out of here. I refuse to believe that, like, oh yeah, Starfield's got higher expectations now that it's a front and center, like, flagship for Microsoft. From the very beginning, they talked about Starfield as if it was almost like mythological. Hi-Fi Rush had been rumored, because Grubb was saying expect Pentiment level game from Tango soon. Right, but that's not the same as predicting a ghost drop. Like, being like, oh yeah, something's coming from Tango. Okay, first and foremost, that information was already available. That Tango was working on a new game. It being a ghost drop was not something I had read anywhere. That was new information. Bethesda is basically saying, we're going to give you the moon, literally, with their marketing. Yeah, I refuse to believe that there was any point in time where Bethesda wasn't really... Oh yeah, it's not. We're not gonna set expectations very high for Starfield. They've been setting high expectations for Starfield since they opened their mouth about it. He didn't predict a ghost drop. So what exactly did he predict? Hi-Fi Rush was about 6 years in development before Microsoft acquisition. See the pattern? Yeah, maybe. The ghost drop came out of left field. No one knew it was coming, says Scott. High expectations from the beginning. Yes, absolutely. I agree. They're literally just making No Man's Sky 2.0. That's stupid and not true. Stop saying that. You just end up looking silly. Seriously. I'm being dismissive because I'm so tired of reading that. This game has so little in common with No Man's Sky. Dark Taco with a 5-month membership says, Pog, welcome back in, Dark Taco. He never predicted a ghost drop at all. That's what I'm saying. It was known Hi-Fi Rush has been in development for over 5 years because they did an interview. There was nobody was walking out and saying, oh, there's a game that's been in development for 5 years. It was Tango's been working on a new game. And that was all we knew. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. So you're saying it was known that it's been in development for over 5 years. Both Starfield and Forza are being delayed to next year, says Raikou. After Forza no-showed its release date and Starfield was a no-show, it's early 2024 for both games. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't. I refuse to believe Bethesda wants to release a new RPG and expansion for another RPG in the same month. They will have a clear and large shared player base. Yeah, that as well is another thing to consider. That if Starfield lands in June, they're landing in the exact same month as their own game getting a huge expansion. Didn't they say 100% written in ink November 11th, says Mike? Delays happen, I get it, but now is the delay almost more than a year? Yeah, I'm actually okay with that. I'm arguing that they should delay it. I don't put that much stake in any game's marketing saying it's going to be incredible. I'm going off what I've seen so far, and from what I'm seeing, they haven't shown anything that looks like it's meeting those expectations. Right, but that, like, you said that you don't believe they were making a Starfield with the current expectations in mind. I don't know what we have to go on other than your conjecture and observation, which makes what you're saying not really, what am I supposed to say? Like, they literally walked out this game into the public and set those expectations. You know what I'm saying? So you're you're smarter than everybody else? So from moment one, you knew this game wasn't going to deliver? Get out of here. That's like the people that are like, I called the plot of Sixth Sense 5 minutes in. Okay. Well, that's not conducive to discussion. I've known all along this game was gonna be bad. Like, okay, like from moment one, they've billed this as a big game. They've billed this as an impactful game. Creating some history of your own skepticism. Oh, great! There's no comeback to that. Delays are good. Only publishers care about deadlines. Put 2 and 2 together, says Mike. If you know a game that basically is done and events coming up, you can educate a guest that then, why is Diablo in the rumor? Is it the same source? That's why it's sus. But why would that be? Okay, so he's not saying he got all of his information from the same source. He just put it all in there and is basically like, this is what the year is going to look like. I'm not claiming that it won't deliver. I've only expressed my opinion. Right, but you made it sound like everybody's expectations about Starfield won't be met, and then you said, I don't believe they've ever been building a game that will meet those expectations. My comeback was, their marketing says otherwise. They believed from the very beginning this was like a magnum opus game. There's nothing about the marketing of Starfield that makes me think, oh yeah, they weren't building a game to blow everybody away. That opinion's fine. You can have that opinion. It's not going to blow people away. It's not going to meet people's expectations. The first thing you stated was, this game was never prepared to be a flagship title with this much attention on it. And my pushback was, look at the marketing. And then your comeback was, I don't believe they've ever been building a game to meet those expectations. I don't understand what conversation we're having. At first it was like, well, they weren't ready to be center stage flagship. And it's like, oh, what are you talking about? Go back and look at the early, go back and look at their early marketing. You know what I'm saying? They were talking about this game as it was going to be like otherworldly, and then it was, oh, but they've not been making a game that's going to blow everybody away. Like, I just don't understand what the argument doesn't even feel like it has a trajectory. It just feels like a nebulous moving of goalposts. Your sub counter is stuck in time and not updating for a while now. What are you talking about? My sub counter? What? Where are you looking at that? They don't give you the exact count. They give you like a dot. It's a magnum opus game, says Butters. It's Bethesda. They always want to be that. Sincerely, every person that has played Skyrim. Look at Anthem's marketing. Them telling us it's going to be amazing means nothing. I base my opinion on what they've showed and not told us. Right, but the initial conversation that started was, you acted as if they weren't prepared to be a center stage game. I don't agree with that at all. I think from moment one, they had high aspirations for this game. Like, I don't think we can act like suddenly expectations are higher on Starfield because they're a flagship Microsoft title and it's being held to higher expectations. That's what it sounded like you were saying. It's like, you can have the opinion that, like, I've not seen anything that impressive so far. That's totally fine. I would probably agree with that. I don't think we've seen anything that impressive thus far, other than how the dialogue systems will work. But that's not what it sounded like. It sounded like, oh yeah, they weren't really ready to be a center stage flagship, or, you know what I mean? Yeah, this is new members, not member renewals. If I did it on renewals, because I gift 5 when we hit this 25, I would be doing it way too often. I'd be losing money if I did that. It's like, we get so many renewals every day. I'm not against delaying the game now, but I think myself and most other people are tired of games getting announced and delayed over a year. Why can't these companies just wait to announce? I mean, I think that's one of the lessons to be learned here. One of the lessons to be learned is don't say anything until you're very, very close to a release date. Yes, their aspirations were high, but aspirations are optional. They no longer have the option. They now have to deliver. They're being touted as Xbox's new masterclass flagship Halo replacer. Nobody said that. We've predicted that that's what Microsoft thinks about it, but Microsoft hasn't stated that. That's not been stated anywhere, that they're the Halo replacer. They've not. I predicted that that's what was coming. I actually don't think that that's happened yet. Stop spreading rumors. Shut the frick up. So future GPU, the one hard UE5 graphics. Starfield might be a service seller, Game Pass, not a system seller. Well, maybe. I mean, if you've got games coming out on Game Pass that you can also get on PC, I think that's part of the goal, right? Is to get PC Game Pass into a better position. Just from observation, Starfield in general is the main talking point from Microsoft. But I don't agree with that. I don't think my prediction has come true yet. I said like a year ago that I felt like Starfield was the next flagship of Microsoft, that they were going to slowly make Starfield the flagship and not Halo, right? I don't think we've seen that come to fruition just yet. I don't even know if it's going to come to fruition because, like, maybe because they're giving its own showcase, we could say that's evidence number one that, yeah, Lono, you got that prediction right. I'm still going to be tentative on that. Like, I don't know. Like, what if it doesn't launch all that well? Like, I just don't know. It's really dependent upon the quality of the launch more than like whether or not Microsoft sees it in that way. Flagship doesn't really mean doesn't usually mean multiple, so one would have to be replaced. No, I think you can have multiple flagships. I think you have multiple flagships. I believe that Sony has multiple flagships. You have God of War. You have Horizon. You have Ratchet and Clank. You have Spider-Man. I don't think you need one flagship. I think that might be even the way forward for Microsoft, is to have multiple flagships to say, these are some of our leading titles in our armada of stuff that you can enjoy. Right now, Xbox's flagship is Game Pass. I expect it to stay that way. Eugene says, Starfield should be too big and expansive for Game Pass to make sense. You're going to pay 3 or 4 months of Game Pass for Starfield. Nah, it's not a service seller for PC. You're going to pay 3 or 4 months for Game Pass for Starfield? I'm not sure. I'm not tracking with what you're saying, Eugene. Had a meeting, I'm back. Did I miss Lono going off on someone making a bad, unthoughtful argument? No. Garbear with curly hair says they should stop releasing half-finished games. I mean, Fallout 76 was marketed that way as well. I'm not going to deny that Fallout 76 makes everybody hesitant to trust Bethesda, but you have to look at who made it. It was a different team, and they've actually, done really good things with it. Like, I'm never going to excuse what happened with Fallout 76, but I do think a lot of people don't look at the full scope of the picture. It's like, it was a different team. It wasn't the team that's working on Starfield. Found a guy 6 days ago that predicted Hi-Fi Rush's release at the event. When did the Starfield leaker make his statement? The Starfield leaker predicted the Hi-Fi Rush thing. Like, he predicted that at the event. Now, again, people are saying, oh, it was an educated guess. He didn't predict the ghost drop. Okay, anytime a leaker gets something right, it adds a little bit of credibility to them. It's not like, oh yeah, this guy's preaching straight gospel. He can text Phil Spencer. That's not it at all. Like today, and this is what's so interesting is people that I know are a little bit more pro Xbox are being like, this is a false rumor. This leak is bogus. Okay, forget that. I am saying delay the game. If this rumor is true, conditional. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying, look, if this rumor is true, I'm in camp delay. And do you want to know why I'm saying this? If this game comes out in the summer and it's clearly not ready, then I think it adds credence to this guy's leak. If Redfall comes out in May and is clearly not ready, that adds credence to this guy's claims. Eugene says, Starfield's a big, expansive game that will take players a very long time for extensive gameplay. It doesn't make sense for people to pick up Game Pass for Starfield. I believe it makes sense for people that are on the fence, Eugene. If you're on the fence and you want to try the game out, then Game Pass is a really great way to do it. You pay for 1 month, you try out the game extensively for weeks, and you know whether or not you're going to keep it, right? I'd say they hover the level under flagship. I don't think either of those franchises are console sellers, just nice bonuses. Oh, this guy says, would you not consider Gears and Forza flagship titles? I know people that only care about Marcus and not Master Chief. You can already pre-install Redfall on Game Pass. Oh, no, yeah, it's coming. Wait, you can already pre-install it? No, there's going to be a big day one patch. There's no way that's the full. I don't know about that. If you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about the latest Starfield news. A leaker claiming that Redfall's in rough shape, Starfield's in worse shape than Redfall, and Microsoft wants both games to come out on time. Keep in mind that we've gotten a lot of leaks about these titles that keep coming true. Forget this leaker in particular, okay? Just forget this leaker in particular. First and foremost, we had it leaked that Redfall was internally delayed and was going to land in May. That's interesting. We have a release date now, and where did it land? Then we get a release date about the developer direct, and that Starfield won't be included. Well, that comes true. Then we get told that this Hi-Fi Rush game is going to be at the event as like a surprise. You know, we don't know whether or not it was predicted to be a ghost drop. People are telling me he didn't predict a ghost drop, but he predicted the game, okay? So that happens, right? Okay, so here's the question. If all of these leaks keep coming true, then it adds some corroborative credibility to what this guy said. If Redfall was internally delayed and is coming in May, and that comes true, well, then it could add credence to what he's saying, that it's in bad shape, it's not ready, it needs more time. You can pre-install the game, which I don't know why you would pre-install something you have to take up some multiple months in advance. Yeah, I mean, installing this early is kind of weird. Why do people talk like you sub to Game Pass for one game? You can buy the game at full price or Game Pass, play the game plus 400 more. He was talking about conversions, Gabriel. Like, would somebody convert to Game Pass for Starfield? I haven't missed a month of Game Pass for about a year at $15, and I buy games. It's not that hard. People sub to Netflix and HBO. You guys aren't even engaging with what he was talking about. We were talking about people on PC getting Game Pass for Starfield because Phil Spencer said there's room for growth. You guys are so quick to defend Game Pass, you don't even enter the conversation. You're like an NPC. You're like a bot. Like, oh, I got to defend Game Pass. That's not what we were talking about. We were postulating whether or not Starfield would be a subscription mover, and according to Phil Spencer and according to internal documents from one of the debates about the acquisition, they see room for growth for Game Pass on PC. So that stands to reason. Would people then say, oh, I'm going to get Game Pass on PC for Starfield? We're not saying anything bad about Game Pass. Just sub to Gamefly and you'll be just fine. What's good and now your mama knows. Like, you guys, you like, listen to what was said. Like, track with the argument. No, folks will buy Starfield. Starfield's commercial success isn't going to be measurable, though. 25 to 30 million people won't have to buy it. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, people will buy Starfield. Okay, sure, they will. Thank you so much for sending a wide-eye worsty. Oh, that's like a hot dog. Oh my gosh. Stop right there, criminal scum. Your Game Pass slander is at an end. Like, we're not even talking bad about Game Pass. Yo, Bethesda Gaming coming back in with a member plus. Thank you so much. Who's going to be the first to order a coffee today, and who's going to push this member goal a little bit further? If you've never done a membership on YouTube before, try it out for a month with me. It's $5. It gets you into members-only streams and my members-only Discord. Hi-Fi's outselling Forspoken. Not even talking about Game Pass. Yeah, I'm so shocked a $30 game that went viral is outselling a game at twice the price that has bad reviews. That's not like that has nothing to do with the discussion. Yo, Terminal Stupidity's like, I'll push the number. Here's 5 more members, taking us to 10 members for the day. Thank you so much. Phantom Phoenix, Incarcerated Lick, Crislow, Finger6842, and MTO. We take care of the community here. If you cannot afford a membership, make sure you're here as often as you can. Make sure and smash that like button. We need like 40 more likes. Black Brad Pitt says exactly. You said 25 million people aren't going to buy it. Oh my gosh. Okay. There are 25 to 30 million people who do not have to buy Starfield. You can't sing the praises of Game Pass and say Game Pass is amazing and say Game Pass is the greatest value in gaming, okay? You can't say that and then ignore that you have 25 to 30 million people, somewhere in that ballpark. They don't have to buy the game because of Game Pass. Pick a side. Game Pass is great. Game Pass is awesome. I love Game Pass. Great. It's going to make it difficult to measure the commercial success of Starfield because 25 million people or more don't have to buy it. Oh, it's going to sell crazy on Steam. Look at Hi-Fi Rush. Okay, that doesn't mean you can measure the commercial success of Starfield the way you can other games. Even if people go to Game Pass to get Starfield, they'd pay $30 at most if they aren't super committed to the game. Hard drive space is at a premium right now. Only the most dedicated buyers won't be at a loss. I'm not sure what you're saying. 30 million people didn't have to buy Rush, but they did. Oh my gosh. 9 milli. All of the stats about Hi-Fi Rush's sales are on Steam. Homie, track with the illogical nature of what you're saying. Like, well, you said 25 million people didn't have to buy Hi-Fi Rush. Homie, they're different platforms. Do you honestly think somebody right now's got an Xbox Series X or an S, and they got Game Pass, and you think they went to Steam to buy the game? That's, with respect, if somebody did that, they're dumb. So you're paying for Game Pass and you don't use it? Like, that's the point I'm making, homie. If you want to track and measure the commercial success of Starfield, how many copies did we sell? It's going to be really difficult because you have an entire ecosystem that says you don't have to buy it. You have Game Pass. A sale is a sale for Xbox. We're in a simulation. We're in a fucking simulation. You guys are NPCs. Like, this isn't real. This is all an illusion. You're not listening. You're not entering the discussion. Like, you're so dedicated to defending Microsoft and Xbox. You're not even listening to what I'm saying. Like, you're oh no man, no. A sale's a sale. A dollar is a dollar if you divide it by a donut. That's not what I'm talking about, bro. I'm not talking about whether or not Microsoft or Xbox gets the money. Jiminy frick. I'm saying, this is so basic. This is so easy. This is so just observable from conventional wisdom. If you look at how we measure the commercial success of games, we do it with total sales, okay? And if you do it with total sales, you can look at some of the records and the reports from some of the countries that are like, oh, look how good this game did, right? Literally, right now, you want to talk about how great Hi-Fi Rush is. Why? Because you can measure the commercial success of it to a certain degree on Steam. You can look at the commercial success and say, oh, look at how well it's selling. Okay? You're putting out bad facts. Me? That's comical. All I'm saying is, this is an easy, acceptable statement. Measuring the commercial success of Starfield will be difficult because 25 to 30 million people don't have to buy it. Like, if you're gonna, this is where you guys contradict yourselves. You want to pound on the drum like Game Pass is awesome, Game Pass is dope, everybody should be on Game Pass, look at the growth of Game Pass, look how great Xbox is doing. Yep, and that is a difficult metric to measure. It's like, how many people played it? How many people are still playing it? How many people signed up for Game Pass? How many people signed up for Game Pass because they wanted to play Starfield? Like, that's all I'm saying. Did I say that Game Pass is bad? No. Did I say Starfield will be bad? No. Did I say that Starfield won't be commercially successful? No. I said it will be difficult to measure the commercial success of Starfield because they have created an ecosystem where tons of people can just play the game. You just flipped what I said trying to play me? I'm not flipping what you said, well, unless somebody in chat flipped what you said. All I'm saying is people will still buy it. That is not a comeback. Oh, not me. Okay. That's not a comeback, though. Do you see what I'm saying? If I'm like, hey, man, right now, we measure the commercial success of games with quantity of sales. And this game, it's going to be tough to measure because tons of people will play it and not buy it. Right? Let's say 7 million people download the game on Game Pass and they play it. And let's say 5 million just love it. One of the great values of Game Pass is they just keep on playing, baby. They don't got to spend a dime more than they already are, right? So that means that's not something that like we can measure and see and say, oh, look how great Starfield did. Do you understand? A lot of people championing Starfield won't really like the game because it's not their type of game. I mean, hardcore RPGs, I think they're popular for a reason, but there are a lot of people that are going to look at it and say, no, it's just too demanding. That's true of, I think, any RPG. It's not hard to measure. You go by subs, purchases on Steam, and players playing. That's not hard. You measure all the above. Okay. Oh, I'm going to regret this. First and foremost, you can't go by subs, Mike, because Microsoft doesn't release the sub count numbers. So unless they suddenly start giving you a month-to-month report on Game Pass numbers, you don't get to measure that. Purchases on Steam. True, you can see how well it's doing on Steam. Players playing, can't see that on Xbox. You can't see how many people are playing. There will be Steam charts, sure, which I think can give you a barometer for how the game is received, but we have no idea how that went for Halo. There were times where we said, think about this with me for a second. This is going to beautifully land the contradiction plane for you guys that go hard in the paint for Xbox. Listen to me. When we pointed to Halo Infinite not doing well on the Steam charts, what was I told? Most people play on Xbox, Lono. You can't really go by Steam charts. So that means if Starfield is just banging and killing it on the Steam charts, I'll say, well, you can't really go based on that. Bethesda games, are they more popular on PC? Do you see what I'm saying? You can't be selective. Either the Steam charts are indicative of how a game is performing, which made it very clear very early on that Halo Infinite wasn't doing very well, or it's not indicative of a game's performance. You see what I'm saying? You can't measure. You're not going to be able to measure the commercial success of Starfield that simply because you won't have access to any of those numbers. You won't have access to it. Now, we'll be able to look at we'll be able to look at critical acclaim. We'll be able to look at user scores. That will help. But again, when I say it's going to be difficult to measure, you're arguing that, no, it's not. Oh, really? There's like 8 hurdles to figuring out how well it did with commercial impact, but it's not going to be difficult. It's not the same as virtually any other game out there that, traditionally launches. I'm saying, Parasito, I'm saying people who don't currently have Game Pass, who get it for Starfield, will play it at most 2 months, maxing out at $30 of money. Split through a service would put $60 on a game at a huge loss. Even if existing Game Pass users play the game, Bethesda won't get the entire cut from each user. The only saving grace for Starfield, in my eyes, will be the safety net that is existing Game Pass users that don't even try Starfield, but still give Starfield some money from their splits. But the assumption would be that Game Pass money gets split to all the people that are underneath Microsoft's umbrella. We don't have any evidence to say to point to that. Paul says, go to the top 20 selling games and list how many of them are Game Pass games. Very little, next to none. Paul, some of the times, is hard in the corner for Xbox, right? Listen to what he just said. You can go to the top 20 selling games on Xbox right now. And he's saying, very little and next to none are Game Pass games. Again, that points to what I'm saying. When Microsoft is creating their own metrics, yeah, but I'm not saying that. DLC's not free on Game Pass. That doesn't have it. I just gave you the formula. Yes, and I refuted your formula because you won't have those numbers, bro. You won't have Game Pass subscriber numbers. I just damaged your whole formula. Here's the formula of how to measure the commercial success of Starfield. And I get out a sledgehammer. I'm like, crack right down the middle. You won't get Game Pass subscriber numbers. Crack. You won't get an accurate player count because all you'll be able to do is look at Steam. Crack. All you can go by basically is commercial sales, I guess, on Steam and player base numbers. Captain Toasty Buns with 14 months. Welcome back in. We're so far off topic because I made a very simple statement. Like, if you're wanting to measure impact of these brands, of these games for Microsoft, it's going to be difficult to measure it. That's all I'm saying. Let's say Starfield is a smash hit and it crushes it and it gets amazing reviews and the community is in the streets throwing confetti in the air because they're so happy, right? Let's just say it's a home run. It's still going to be difficult to measure the commercial and financial impact within the ecosystem that Microsoft has created. That's just going to be difficult to do. Yo, T-Grim with 8 months of membership, welcome back in. Xbox has player count, its most played list. I love that you think those two things are equivalent. Like, with all due respect, man, like you're so clearly grasping. It's embarrassing. You don't get a player count. A most played list is literally just sorting games according to most played. It doesn't tell you how many people are playing. You don't know. Once again, you will not get an accurate count. You're just making claims that are false. Bro, chill. Let me educate some of the geniuses that have walked in chat this morning and have told me to chill. This might be your first day, okay? So I'm going to leave the bat in the corner, and I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. You don't know where the frick you are if you think I need to calm down. This is literally what I do. Passionate discussion with a live audience. If it's too much for you and your jimmies are ruffled, see if somebody's doing ASMR gaming news where they softly speak to you and click their tongue, okay? Because that's not what I'm doing here. There's 5 million cars on the road versus 3 million of those cars are leased, even though we don't have any financial information on them. No numbers, just what game is there. That's what I'm saying. Like, Let's say that Starfield stays at the top of that list of most played games for a while. Let's say it's crushing it on Steam. Let's say it sets some really amazing sales numbers on Steam, okay? That will give you an approximation of how well the game did. Even if you could look at all that and conclude Starfield was a success, however you define it, Starfield was a success, right? You still are going to have the challenge of what financial impact did that have on Microsoft's line items? Like, can Microsoft say, here's how much money it costs to produce and maintain a project from Bethesda of this scope? Here's how much money we made. It's not a traditional relationship. If you can't see that, then I can't help you other than to recommend like a basic economics course. If you look at a game like God of War Ragnarok, there is money dumped into the project, production costs, marketing costs, and that is this huge number, okay? And then quantity of sales, revenue generation from the actual game selling creates, hopefully, a much bigger stack of money. And then the difference between that stack of money and the stack of money you spent on it is your profit margin. The margin between cost of production and to ship, total cost of project, versus the revenue that it generated. So you're like, we generated $1 billion. What were your operating costs? $1 billion. Congratulations, you're not profitable, right? So you can't do that with Starfield. You can certainly measure the cost. You can certainly measure the production and the marketing and say, bringing Starfield to market cost us X number of dollars. Let's just keep using $1 billion. That's exaggeration and we know it, but let's just say it's $1 billion. Get that thing to market. You can't measure the impact of Starfield that concretely because, yes, it'll sell on Steam, but then it's on Game Pass. Well, we had a rise in Game Pass subscribers that landed around 1 million. Does Microsoft directly attribute that to Starfield? Does Microsoft only attribute that to Starfield if out of that 1,700,000 actually played Starfield? Is it time of play? Oh, all these people signed up for Game Pass and played Starfield, and X number of them only played for an hour and never came back. Okay, how many of those people canceled Game Pass a month later? That's not good either, right? That's $15 and then you didn't get anything else out of them, right? These are, I don't know, the 7 layers of distinguishing whether or not Starfield had a positive impact on revenue and therefore will get investment for future DLC plans, future support, future ongoing content methods or roadmaps or a sequel. See, like that's all I'm saying. I've yet to say anything negative or bad. I'm saying I'm very curious how Microsoft's going to measure this. How? Like, if Starfield is a smash hit, do they what? Do they invest in Starfield? Do they invest in DLC? Do they invest in the next sequel? You should be asking this question for a very giant and simple reason. It's called Elder Scrolls 6. Like, Microsoft's going to look and say, okay, production costs, time to ship, estimated arrival of Elder Scrolls 6. Okay, that's this much money. Well, based on Starfield's results, the revenue impact you had on our company is what? Where's that number come from? Yes, Lono, come on, man, you have subs. When your subs shoot up really fast, it's for a reason, right? You probably dropped the banger vid. Oh my god. You're engaging with half of what I said. Be fair, when Forza Horizon came out, it did hit the sales chart. Even now, it was on Game Pass. Oh, Forza did? Forza number 4? What month is that? Is that recently or is that when it came out? That's release. Okay. Yeah, but again, even if that happens, Paul, let's say Starfield climbs the sales ranks for Microsoft and it's also on Starfield. I'm sorry, it's also on Game Pass. Again, you have to measure how many Game Pass subscribers did we get? How many people stayed on Game Pass? How many people that got Game Pass played Starfield and then subsequently stayed on Game Pass so we could say that's directly attributed to Starfield? That's what I'm saying. All of those measurements have to be calculated at some level to say what's worthy of an investment. Let me give you another example. Let's imagine that Redfall comes out and is a disaster. It's a failure. It gets super low scores. Its install rate is immediately an uninstall rate. Like it just goes really poorly, okay? You better hope that Microsoft has a way of measuring that economic impact, so that you can then therefore determine whether or not it should get ongoing support, DLC, a sequel, etc. Can't player engagement with the game help determine the success? Yes and no, Mr. Bits. Just because you're getting game engagement doesn't necessarily mean that was a huge impact on your revenue. For example, let's imagine there's a nice crisp 25 million people on Game Pass right now. And let's imagine that they're already on Game Pass. And when Starfield comes out, they all play Starfield and they love it, okay? Well, they were already on Game Pass. So you have to infer or through conjecture conclude, oh, well, they're staying on Game Pass because of Starfield. Well, how do you know that? You got 25 million people on Game Pass. What's the percentage of them that have been on there for over a year? Let's say 60% of them have been on there for already a year. And let's say a good chunk of those people who are Game Pass ride or die, they've been on there for a year. Let's say a good percentage of those make up your player base of Starfield. Well, that's not revenue impacting. They were already on the subscription service. They've already proven loyalty. They've already proven a pattern of commitment. You see what I'm saying? That's the challenge. You've got to measure all of that. How many people are brand new to Game Pass? How many of them are playing Starfield? How many of them are still playing Starfield? How many of them are still playing Starfield and staying on Game Pass 7 months later when they've recouped the cost or the full price of the game? That's all I'm saying. I'm saying you got to figure all those things out to figure out the commercial impact and success of a game on Game Pass. Lono, do they care to have those numbers? Could they share other numbers to investors that would be good enough? Does Game Pass allow them to be vague with results? Yeah, I don't know. I think Starfield could move people to Game Pass. I mean, that's how I started it trying out a game. Right. Yeah. That's the only point I'm trotting out there. And one of the reasons I'm trotting that point out there is Netflix ran into this problem. They would launch a TV show, boom, big spike in sub numbers. Season 2 would see less impact on sub numbers, and then the show would get canceled. Why? Because it was really expensive to make those shows. So, really big project, really big budget. You're talking huge games, right? Everybody's pounding on their chest. Yeah, man, Bethesda, we're going to get Starfield, and then in the future you're going to get Elder Scrolls, Elder Scrolls 6. Okay, those are really, really expensive. And if you're going to measure impact of that title hitting, they could run into the same problem. Well, yeah, they did a sequel or they did DLC, and it had less of an impact on Game Pass. In similar fashion, right? The hype of the new game is significantly bigger, so it's like, oh yeah, everybody's jumping in, and then it could have less of an impact next time around, which could lead to Microsoft saying the best thing for us is constantly, just chunking out brand new. That could lead to first party titles being like one and done. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying, but that could lead to first party titles being one and done. Get them out of here. Yeah, it impacted Game Pass. Cool. Got our use out of it. Move on to the next title. Move on to the next thing. Starfield's about pushing PC Game Pass numbers higher. That's their target market right now. I think your biggest barrier for Game Pass PC and Starfield is the modding community with Bethesda are going to want to use Steam. I think that's going to be an enormous challenge. Now, that could lead to really good commercial success. Like, they could get a ton of money from people buying the game in Steam because there's no Game Pass in Steam. Why are people wanting to actively kill a thriving industry? Look at the quality of movies and TVs we get because of subservices. People are still buying games. I'm not down with junk food services. I think there's a happy medium, though. We're actually getting some really great television. I mean, coincidentally, HBO has just been slamming out great content. One of those things is a video game show, The Last of Us. We're in a great age of television with respect to quality. Subs plateaued. They increased prices to offset sub loss. That's my primary worry for subs. Yeah, any sub market's going to experience that. That's exactly right. You're going to experience the plateau. You're going to experience the need to raise prices. And that always is going to cause that sort of stagnation of, well, what do we do now? And I think Microsoft has their eyes wide open, by the way. I think people go way too far with, Game Pass is central to Microsoft's strategy. No. According to Microsoft, it's 15% of their revenue going forward for gaming. I don't think it's as big as a lot of people have thought it would be. I think many, myself included in this, I was wrong on this. I think many of us thought, Game Pass is their central strategy. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Game Pass is additive and good, and it's great value. I think it'll continue to grow. If they could really get growth on PC, they stand to make very good money, but I think they have to create and foster a much better ecosystem in the PC landscape that they currently don't have. Steam is going to make it very, very difficult on them, I think. Games don't always stay on Game Pass permanently. they could move it away for people to have to purchase if they like it. Yeah, but Ace of Blades, that's difficult because if you do that, you can really, really frustrate the people that like your service. Well, why do I have this service? You keep moving stuff off of it, I keep having to pay for it. That's what happened in Netflix. Netflix suffered really, really big sub-loss when they lost certain property. When they lost The Office, they had a bunch of sub-loss. When they lost all the Marvel content, they had a bunch of sub-loss. Like, if you start yanking stuff off your sub-funnel, you can really, really damage the consumer perception of the actual subscription quality itself. How committed to cloud gaming do you think Microsoft is? I think they're very committed because they're well, at least a couple of years ago, their mindset was that Amazon and Google were their competition. Cloud-based solutions and cloud-based gaming are likely where they're imagining that taking place. That battlefront, excuse me, that battlefront is a very different battlefront. Only for about 10 more years till all the old boomers die off, because that's how all who is left adding HBO to their cable packages. I mean, everybody's doing HBO Go now as like a subservice on the internet. When they are putting their biggest games on Game Pass first, that's hundreds of millions of dollars going out the door. Right, like you have to. That's another question that doesn't get answered in this equation. So Mike 2K, the one that was debating me about, oh no, it'll be easy to measure the commercial impact of Starfield. Okay, well, riddle me this: how do they measure? Like, here's a great example: Hi-Fi Rush is selling like crazy on Steam at $30. So Microsoft has to ask the question. This thing dropped out of nowhere, went viral, was really huge and successful. Is it driving Game Pass numbers in a large enough quantity to justify what sales projections would have been for this game at $30? You see? Oh, yeah, if we would have sold this for 30, sales projections land here. Here's how many Game Pass subscribers we got from it. Same thing happens with Starfield. Yeah, we could have sold Starfield for $60. Commercial success of the game, critics, the reviews, the acceptance, right? Oh, man, look at how well it's doing on Steam. Okay, sales projections have Starfield landing at this number. That's what we would have generated. Okay, how much did we get through the Game Pass subscribers going up? And you can't just ask how much revenue do we get from the subscribers going up. You'd have to ask how many are staying on after the launch, because that's when you start to really make the money. Because $15, if a bunch of those people cancel, that's a huge loss. Starfield would easily make $500 million to $1 billion if it sold normally. How on earth do they measure that with Game Pass? That's exactly what I've been talking about, Cliffo. Recap the summary. Okay, let me give you guys a recap. I always ask that you show some appreciation if I do a show recap. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, that way you don't miss this content. I'm a live broadcaster Monday through Friday. I keep it safe for work. You can treat me like a podcast and throw me on in the background of your day. Also, consider becoming a member or gifting members. That's a great way to support me. Smash the like button, maybe get us to 400 likes. That helps more people find the content. You can also order coffee. Or glasses or a shirt. Those are great ways to support what we do. The coffee's ours. The other things are sponsors. Okay? Here, let me give you your recap. So, in the wake of Hi-Fi Rush hitting from the Xbox Developer Direct, we found a leaker who sort of predicted the Hi-Fi Rush thing, the game ETC, adding a little bit of credibility to the leaker. Now, there's people in chat that are like, I don't trust the leaker, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Whether or not you trust the leaker, that's what spawned this discussion. The leaker claims that Redfall is coming out and it's not ready, right? It's not ready, and if it's going to be coming out completely not ready. Not completely not ready, sorry. Redfall will be launching in a rough state in May. Okay, keep in mind we already had a leak about the 5-week internal delay of Redfall and it landing in May. That adds some credence to this guy saying what he's saying. He's like, yeah, it's going to be rough. Well, we already heard there was an internal delay, meaning the game was probably having some issues, okay? This leaker also stated that Starfield is in a worse state. Starfield is in worse shape than Redfall, and Microsoft wants to ship it in June. They want it to come out by the end of the fiscal year. They want it to come out in June. And Bethesda is pushing for it to come out in the fall. They want more time. So the concern is, they're setting a precedent here. They're setting a precedent. They're saying it's more important for us to get games out the door. It's more important for us to get games out the door than it is for us to ask the question, what should the games look like when they come out? Now, we haven't had a lot of new subscribers today, so if you haven't hit subscribe and you've been enjoying the show, do me a favor. Hit subscribe, hit the bell button so you don't miss out on the content. I'd love to hear you weigh in on what I'm saying. So I hear this and I say, whoa, delay the game. Do not do this. Do not push this game out before it's ready. I have an upload coming later today about Hellblade. I'm arguing Hellblade's not coming in 2023. Okay? It's not. And I track the history of the game. And both the Hellblade video and this conversation, I'm looking at Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer made it very clear we want teams to own their date. We have experience shipping games before they're ready, right? If we have experience shipping games before they're ready, then we don't want to do that again. Okay? So I'm saying Phil Spencer's commentary is going to come back to haunt him if Redfall lands in May and Starfield lands in June, and it's obvious they're not ready. You see what I'm saying? And hearing people say, oh no, Hellblade's coming this year too. Rumors are pointing to Hellblade releasing. That's either desperate people hoping that the drought ends faster than it seems, or that's what Microsoft is doing. They're focused on priority one, we need games to launch for Game Pass. That's concerning. Now, this guy is also saying Diablo's in a rough state and Diablo might get pushed back. There is some credence to that because we learned end of last year that Diablo was going to have to quote-unquote crunch to come out on time. And it would stand to reason that if it was going to have to crunch and, they're looking at that 6-month time frame and they're like, no, it's not going to be ready. We will see Microsoft's event in June to see if it comes out. Starfield isn't high on my list, but I will play it via Game Pass when it releases, says Geek to Sneak. Bet Diablo is in Georgia. Zubair says you get one chance to get our attention. One, land the plane. That's exactly right. Please push Diablo 4 back and polish it properly. Microsoft is under huge pressure to release games due to lack of luster in 2022. Exactly. Did we get any new subscribers over here on the Tickety Talk? No, we've actually dropped. We had 12, now we have 8. Thank you for the recap. You are welcome. We still don't have a coffee order today. Anybody want to order any Reforge Roast? Use the link in chat or go to reforgeroast.com. That supports us directly. My brother memed on me the other night. We ship this from our house. We literally do. That's not a sponsor. That's ours. If you like my classically trained shirt, that's a sponsor as well as the other things. I don't want them to delay Starfield. I'm sick of waiting, and the longer they delay Starfield, the longer the next Elder Scrolls will take to develop and be delayed also. Yeah, I mean, I'm less concerned about that, though. Here's the thing, Salty Gamer. I want them to establish a cadence of delivery and a level of quality. That matters way more to me than just getting games on the subservice. Listen, you don't want my good friend 30 and Still Gaming to be right. You don't want him to be right. He thinks all Microsoft cares about is getting MVPs out the door, minimum viable products. Just get these MVPs out the door and get Game Pass having this encyclopedia of games, right? No. You do not want that to come true. If that's true, then Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield and Hellblade 2, they are nothing more than a means to an end. And you'll end up with low quality crap. Like that, I'm telling you right now, I really, really hope 30 is wrong. It's not just the cadence of delivery, it is the level of quality that matters. You can't just be like, well, we shipped games. Oh, okay. The amount of people wanting games they haven't seen full gameplay of is wild. What's the rush to get a game that's unfinished? Exactly. That's literally why we're doing this show. I'm doing a show where I'm like, delay it. Delay the game. All these people that are like, no, it needs to come out by June. No, it needs to come out. I'm going to be done. This will be the final straw. Listen, you're talking about final straw. I'm talking about a wrecking ball. If you launch both Redfall and Starfield this year and it's obvious they're not ready, all confidence in Xbox should be shattered at that point. How can you be confident in their leadership? What are you going to do? You're going to just keep going back to Forza? Look at what happened to Halo. They can't have another launch like that. They can't. That doesn't make sense. They tried that with Halo, and look at what happened. You won't be rewarded for that. They see that. Mike 2K, you better pray you're right. You better pray you're right. Because think about what you're saying. Hi-Fi Rush literally just launched. Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the quality of the games coming out that are way more important than Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush, no doubt. Home run. If we're using my continued baseball analogy, and I said Microsoft could get more points on the board in later innings, right? The first couple years of the Series X hasn't been that strong. I'll give you that one. Hi-Fi Rush, crack. Some rookie player out of nowhere walked up to the plate and just hit the ball out of the park. Awesome. But you got dudes warming up right now, right? You got dudes warming up right now. You got Starfield and Redfall, and everybody's looking to them to hit grand slams. Like, man, these guys better bring it. At the very least, Starfield needs to do that. Starfield needs to do that. Pentiment wasn't for me, but an 86 on Metacritic. Listen, that's all well and good, but indie titles that are crushing it, that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. You can continue to launch a steady stream of indie titles and put them on Game Pass, and if they're commercially successful and they're highly praised and they go kind of viral, awesome. That's great. That's great. That's not what I'm talking about. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the big dogs. I'm talking about the Starfields. I'm talking about the future big dogs, the next Gears game. What about Hellblade 2? What about Avowed? What about Fable? These are the games that I'm talking about. If those games land and it's obvious they weren't ready, brother, you gotta start to wonder who's to blame. You have to start to wonder. Like what I'm saying, like Mike 2K is saying, oh no, they're not going to do that. They've learned their lesson. Phil Spencer says, we have experience releasing games too early. And I'm saying, okay, great. You can't sit here in my stream and tell me Microsoft learned their lesson, bro. They're not going to do it again. They're not going to do it again. They've learned their lesson. Phil Spencer said they've got history and experience launching games too early. You are now in the position that you're going to have to look at Microsoft straight-faced if these games come out and they're not ready. You can't say everything you're saying now, and then if they come out and they're not ready, oh, Bethesda, typical Bethesda. No, I'm going to put more blame on Microsoft if that happens. I'm not going to put the blame on Bethesda. And that's not me being anti-Xbox. That's me holding them to their word. You said you didn't want to launch games that weren't ready anymore. You said that. My issue is Microsoft do seem to try to get the consumer friendly, but they struggle with game quality, says Masterclass. This guy says, is Hi-Fi Rush indie? The same studio made Evil Within and is very established studio. I don't know the size of that studio. Indie might not be fair. I was looking at art style and potential length. I don't know how big that studio is though. Yes on Avowed, says Lethal Lady. I want to be excited, but I've seen so little on the game. I want to see progress on this before it's just a trailer and a launch. 150 employees is Tango. It's a small studio in Tokyo. Yeah, I don't know. 150 employees. I wouldn't say that's... They're like a Big Brother indie. They're not like super small, scrappy indie, but they're certainly not some giant company. 150 employees is not that many. Anyone questioning the leak over the Azure thing? Okay, here we go. We got a document from Google has Azure ending the 2022 fiscal year with an operating loss of almost $3 billion, down from a loss of more than $5 billion the prior year. It claims that Azure Azure. Azure's sales and marketing costs approach $10 billion, accounting for 34% of the consumption revenue. Okay, so somebody said that that guy was incorrect, that Azure hadn't had losses. They have. So you were in here. I don't know who it was. There was one or two of you in here saying that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not true about Azure losing money. In ink, it's true. December of last year, on record as a loss for them fiscally. So now, him relating it to their strategies with games, that could be a total, like, non sequitur, right? It might not logically follow that, like, oh, they've lost this money on Azure, so they're going to be doing this over here with these games. But I had people here this morning trying to discount him by saying, oh, that's not true about their cloud stuff losing money. Apparently it is. If it's only a few billion, does that really count? 150 is massive compared to Team Cherry. Yeah, but if you're always moving the goalposts of comparison, you could make any company seem huge. You know what I'm saying? If Xbox is interested in expensive big dogs... Oh, is Xbox interested in expensive big dogs? I believe it's quantity over quality for the general gamer. I think that's evident with Steam libraries and game backlogs. But, Russell, if that's the point, why are they trying to do such big acquisitions? That doesn't make any sense. It's crazy to me that they made such a loss on Azure. They're one of the few top players. They need a massive rework to monetizing Azure, it sounds like. Here's the thing. It could be like AT&T Fiber. Back in the day, when they tried to build out AT&T Fiber here in my city, they ran into so many problems because it was so expensive to set it up that they couldn't make money. Like, they couldn't make money. Like, it was like they had to give people such crazy discounts to get them to subscribe right at the beginning, and then once the discounts fell off, everybody would cancel their plans because it was so dadgum expensive. So the build order for fiber basically went down, and they stopped building out fiber in Louisville. This is the longest time I haven't heard the Activision deal not being mentioned. Oh boy. Phil Spencer needs to get Microsoft crap together on game quality states. They're competing against Amazon. I mean, yeah, Amazon Web Services maybe is one of the reasons that Microsoft is struggling with Azure. I don't know. Starfield still no release date? No release date. But according to the leak, and again, listen to the pattern here. I trot out a leak from a guy who got Hi-Fi Rush right, and he starts talking about Starfield release date and Redfall, and they're not ready and blah, blah, blah. And the first thing I get told is that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He made an educated guess on Hi-Fi Rush, and the stuff about Azure is not true. Oh, okay. We just found out the stuff that he said about Azure is true. So the pattern of just immediately coming in and dismissing something because it might not square with your optimism or your, how proud you are of Microsoft. Are you still with Displayed? I am currently trying to get them to commit to something very basic. And if they can't commit to it, then no, we will no longer, we currently aren't doing anything with them actively. So they sent me some new ones. I'm trying to get a very, very, very low key commitment from them. If I can get 4 a month, I think we could have a great relationship. So the ball's in their court at this time. I think they're a great fit for what we did. I mean, we built the studio all around it. But if I can't get that commitment, then no. I think I've made a pretty fair request. I'm still waiting for a response. And the deadline would be next Monday. On the 6th of February is when I'd want to start actively promoting them again. Tremolo says, over 600 people watching. Let's pump these likes up a bit. Spicy morning. What's good? Yeah, I agree. 600 some odd people here. Let's get 30 more likes on the vid. Let's get 30 more likes on the vidya. Partner with Display. You're going to get so much money from me. Yeah, unfortunately, we're trying to figure out what happened and try to work with him actively again. So it's just really hard to get responses. Gears of War is on ice. The Coalition have been unofficially removed from the series. Where the frick did you get that information? What are you talking about? Doesn't Sony use Microsoft Azure for their cloud services? They do. Yes. They're one of their customers. Would definitely say that's fair, says Masterclass. They're a key part of your setup, and you always promote cool merch. Thank you. Microsoft created this problem from their lack of investment in first-party studios for over a decade. Sorry, just tuning in. Quick recap. Well, I gave you guys a recap a little bit ago, and no one gave me any thanks. We didn't get any coffee orders. We didn't get any members. I'll do it again, but I'm just kidding. All right, so here's your recap. The latest Starfield news is coming in the wake of a Starfield leak. You got a guy that claims that Redfall is coming in May, and part of his leak actually confirms that there will not be a surprise drop of Starfield. Yo, what's good, Pugs? Good to see you. So he confirms that Redfall comes first. And he says that Redfall is in rough shape and needs more quality of life, right? And he says that Starfield is in worse shape. And that Microsoft would like Starfield to land in June to end the fiscal year. However, Bethesda would like Starfield to land in the fall. Now, keep in mind, a lot of what he is saying lines up really, really well with a bunch of other things. I think there's some credibility here if just purely through corroboration. Number one, there was already a leak about Redfall having a hard time, being internally delayed, and landing in May. Well, the May release date came true. That adds some credence and credibility to that claim. Then we have the speculation that Starfield will be landing in the second half of 2023, largely driven by people who have inside information. Jez Corden, Randolph Thor, and then you got Maddie. Mr. Maddie Plays has said that one of his sources that always gets stuff right said that Starfield is looking at another delay, okay? So you got a lot of people who know a lot of stuff and have a lot of inside track information saying, yeah, it looks like Starfield's coming second half. That adds credence and credibility to what this guy is saying. It would make sense that Bethesda's like, listen, we want to shoot for fall. We want to shoot for another delay. And Microsoft is like, no, we need that thing out this fiscal year. I'm not saying that this guy is locked in, telling the truth, nailing it. But I'm saying there's a lot of things that line up with what he's saying. Now, does that make him just a good guesser? Is he just guessing and shooting in the dark? The Diablo inclusion, this is going to sound really, really weird, but I'm going to say it. I think his inclusion of Diablo in his predictions, ironically, makes him more trustworthy. Right? What's good, Kill You? Why would he just randomly include Diablo? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have anything to do with Starfield. It doesn't have anything to do with Redfall. Starfield November 11/23/23. I don't know why y'all keep saying that. They don't like to have the day and the year match. That's not something they do. They like to have the day and the month match. 11/11, right? Which 11/11 is a Saturday. This is why I keep saying 10/10/23. October the 10th, 23. 10/10/23. They don't like to make the year and the day match. That's not something that they do. Because the reason they like it to be, the original date, right, was 11/11/22. The reason they like that is no matter where you are in the world, 11/11 is the same date. It's the same date, right? Because other countries put the day first, the 11th of the 11th month, 2022. We in the States, in the West, we do the 11th month, the 11th day, and the year. Well, if the day and the month are the same number, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. You literally write it the exact same way. I think 10/10/23 is the release date of Starfield. Wife brought back a Death Eater wand from Universal and a new Gryffindor shirt, just waiting on my collector's edition. There you go. 10/10 is a Friday. No, 10/10's a Friday, not a Thursday. And 9/9 doesn't work either. 9/9 is a Saturday, and then 10/10 is a Friday, and then 11/11 is a Saturday, and then I think 12/12 is a Friday as well, I believe. I think. Hang on. Yeah, 9/9's a Saturday. I'm sorry, 10/10's a Tuesday, not a Friday. 10/10's a Tuesday. That's a release date, common in the West, right? 11/11 is a Saturday, and then 12/12 is a Tuesday. Yeah. Sorry, it wasn't Friday versus Saturday. It was Tuesday versus Saturday. My bad. Yo, good morning, Brown Excellence. Better stream Starfield on release. I'm here every stream looking for info. Oh, I will definitely be streaming it on release. Did I get a coffee order for my recap? I did. 5 bags of dark to my man Silent Warrior. That is a big order. If you guys have never done a membership before on YouTube, you might be like, why would you ask for memberships? Don't you get money from ads? I watch ads, right? Well, that's not really how we do things here. We're not a very large channel, right? But I do multiple shows a day, Monday through Friday, because of the members. So consider it. Try it out for a month. It's $5. Click the $ at the bottom of the chat or the join button. It gets you into our members-only Discord. And then a lot of the times, like today when I premiere that Hellblade video, I'm going to then go discuss it with members. So you get extra talk shows, you get extra content, you get into the Discord. You can hang out with my wife and I on Friday nights. So consider doing it. If this number in the corner hits 25, I give 5 back. So you can help us push that number one at a time if you want. You stream gameplay anymore? Yeah, it's less frequent. It's way less frequent, Pugs. I mean, we did Dead Space on Friday for like an hour and a half. And games like Starfield and Hogwarts will likely get a lot more treatment. And then Diablo 4. Imagine telling shareholders we have to wait for a month where the day and the month are the same, and preferably a Friday. Day, month, year is correct, says Hilly. That's right. Hang out with your wife? I'm in. Hang out with me and my wife, weirdo. I'll Axio them and tear into my mug. Makes for good sipping. Oh, I was like, what? I don't understand why they put it on the website after the fact if they're unsure about releasing it in the first half. Again, see, people ran with the Bethesda help page, like with the Starfield release date. They were like, well, the help page says that it's landing first half of 2023. And I'm like, okay, back the frickin' truck up. That was just placeholder text. Like, they just pushed the site live. There was no reason. I think the press should, well, I'm not going to say what the press should have done. The press running with that was a mistake. It made everybody think, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. We got our release date, first half of 2023. And it's like, man, that's probably literal copy-paste placeholder text. That doesn't necessarily mean that's like newly typed up. You know what I'm saying? I know this is unrelated to the current subject of Starfield, but did you get to see the new Spider-Man PlayStation Spotlight that aired in Australia a few days ago? No, I didn't. Todd Howard will single-handedly decimate PlayStation? How? Why do people type stuff like that? Question, does that really matter with digital sales being the main purchase now? Is that just old, antiquated way to not drop a game on the weekend? Oh. It's more... No, it's more than that, though, Mike. It's more than that. It's consumer expectations... There's multiple factors that weigh in on why releasing a game on a Saturday is, I don't think, going to happen. I think consumer expectations and market behavior and market patterns are likely playing a huge role there. There could even be other things that I'm not even considering. Stream Starfield even on day one bugs? Oh yeah, I'm going to play it no matter if there's bugs or not. Why not do the December placeholder like every other game? See, here's the other thing that people are forgetting. The Starfield release dates changed multiple times. So it was November, then they delayed it to next year, supposed to be first half. Then it gets a placeholder in Steam of December the 29th, which is kind of weird because if you're going to do a placeholder date for 2023, it would be December 31st. Then they set it to 2023. So in Steam, you go, it just says 2023. Then Steam puts out the policy update that states you can have 2023, that's a generic date. You can have the exact date, right? You can have the quarter that it's going to launch, or you can put no date and it launches and it says coming soon. So they go in and opt to remove 2023 that they were allowed, according to the new policy, to leave in place. They were allowed to do that, and and it switches to coming soon. Coming soon means there is literally no release date on the back end. None. Like, so it's like, why'd they do that? I don't know. Now, a handful of other games did this to be in line with the new Steam policy, but I watched back the streams with your brother over the weekend. Love the dynamic between you guys. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. The launch of Season 11, Reign of Fire, is February 7th for Tom Clancy's The Division. Watch our February 6th live stream for details on what to come. Yeah, I don't know about that. One more down. Another studio head leaving Halo. Stealth launch? No. Saturday would not be a good game release day. Most reputable company offices are closed on the weekends. That means the staff that's monitoring all this stuff, journalists, tech companies, probably content creators as well. Yeah. Who owns Steam? What, Valve? I don't get the dumb comments. Every time a first party on either side is about to drop a game, it's going to end the competition. Like they can both coexist. That's what I'm saying, Tara. Like, what on earth? Streams with your brother were great. Thank you. I think they know it's delayed, and they're just holding on to the announcement right now. Until there's more confidence in the Xbox brand, more shows and releases to soften the blow. So, Mike, you think they're going to delay Starfield? It's not coming first half. I don't think they're doing a stealth launch of this game. There's no way. They definitely botched the TV show when it came to... Oh, you guys are talking about something else. Content creators are never off. Well, yes and no, but the lion's share of content creators are, hitting things Monday through Friday. In the old days, Tuesdays were ideal for releases in stores. Sure. And again, it's just market expectation. It's just what people are expecting. It's not necessarily a must. It's just, yeah, if you want this game to do well, if you want good market attention, then you're going to go with a Tuesday or a Friday release because that's what people are accustomed to. Can they coexist? Wrestling companies show otherwise. Maybe not a stealth launch, but what about a quick launch? Launches within a week or a month? That's the thing. Every single person that has inside information, every single person that has access to people that know things, they're all like, no, it's not coming first half. There's just no way. Everything they've said and every leak about these games is slowly coming true. Leak 1. Redfall is internally delayed. It will launch in May. Leak number 2. There will be an Xbox showcase in January. Starfield won't be there. They're going to do something later on down the road. That came true, right? What was the other one? Other leak. Hi-Fi Rush is going to be included in the Developer Direct, and it was. Like, the leakers are getting stuff right. And then Mr. Matty Plays is like, I got a guy who's never wrong, and he says Starfield's getting delayed again. And then we get this leak that's like, yeah, Bethesda wants Starfield to land in the fall. Microsoft wants it to land in June. Well, okay. Those two things sound to me like they're lining up. Honestly, I'm not one of the people that care if they do or they don't. I just want a good game, even if they got to delay it. I'm a real gamer and my backlog is so huge. Thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy? Should I still pre-order the collector's edition or wait? I don't know. Do whatever you... I don't have recommendations on that. I'm going to get it and play it, but you have to determine whether or not that's something that you want to spend your money on. Launch Tuesday, have word of mouth spread with school, work, etc. Yeah, you get to kind of ride the week. Yeah. Did it with Fallout 4, comes out 5 months later. Oh, yeah, I'm not denying 9milli that Bethesda would probably love to do that. Let's just say Starfield is ready. Okay, let's say this leak is 100% false and Starfield is ready. I think Bethesda loves walking out and saying, here's our game, here's our gameplay. We're really going to wow you. Oh, and this game's coming out in 3 or 4 months. You know what I'm saying? Right now, this is what it seems like to me. I think we get nothing in February about Starfield. Nothing. And then in March, they're doing this private media event. Bethesda is. I think that private media event is going to be sort of like a capture event. Tons of new B-roll, tons of new footage that they can show and distribute, and they're going to give them all the information about the showcase. And the showcase will be in June. That's what I think's coming. I don't think the plan is to be like, oh hey, yeah, let's do, because like think about it. If they're doing this private media event in March, I don't think anything predates that. I don't think you do a Starfield showcase before that private media event. I think that private media event is literally meant to get the information out into the press's hands. So that way the Starfield showcase gets really, really good press treatment about, oh, this is what it is, this is what it is. I only look at a game in my backlog if I'm planning on, bye, have a great day, thanks, by completing the game rather than any other game I have access to is considered my backlog. Solemn says, weekday launches give these companies work days to troubleshoot before the weekends hits. That likely they won't have all the management and full staff around. A beautiful day today in the Northeast. What's good, Travis? Yo, good morning, Robert. How are you? Kill You says, showcase in February, game out in March. Got it from my source. That's always wrong. Super Bowl ad? No, I don't think so. If there's an Xbox ad, I don't know, man. I really, really don't know. I don't see it. I really, really don't see it. I think there's just too many people that laughed at that. All the people that are connected, right? All the people that are connected and know things are like, yeah, no, that it's not coming. Are you calling for an additional delay? Oh, I am. Yes. If this latest Starfield leak is to be believed, then I say delay the game again. I am in full support of Bethesda being in charge of when this game drops. And I'm using Phil Spencer's own words to say it. There will be a Game Pass ad at the Super Bowl, not a game specifically. Yeah, I think that's way more likely that it's just a Game Pass ad. Even the guy that leaked it came back and said that. He's like, yeah, it's likely just going to be like an Xbox Game Pass ad. Hi-Fi Rush is a $40 game available on Game Pass, is outselling other recently released $70 games. Man, it's as if the $70 price point's actually and games needing to be more expensive is complete BS. That take is just remarkably stupid. Imagine being that stupid and trying to wax eloquent and trying to sound smart. Yeah, it's almost as if games have different operating costs and budgets. Like, I don't know, 150 employees working on Hi-Fi Rush is likely significantly lower in production costs to develop and launch than a game like Forspoken. Oh, let's not forget the fact that there was literally no marketing budget at all for Hi-Fi Rush. Another way to keep costs down, you rube. Like, come on. What a stupid take. Every time Starfield is delayed, more and more pressure gets put on the game to be really good. I don't disagree with that. Hi-Fi is also like 6 hours long. Yeah, look at the size and scope of Forspoken compared to Hi-Fi Rush. Like, oh yeah, all games are equal. All games are equal. This just in. Every game is the exact same size, length, and the production costs and marketing costs are also exactly equal. This just in. Every game is the exact same size, length, and the production costs and marketing costs are also exactly equal. Yeah, man. That's it. That's it. They're all identical. Exactly the same. There's no different. The budgets are the same. Your margins are the same. It's all of it. All of it exactly the same. Hey, thank you so much for the $2 SDO. Current gen exclusive is 60 FPS minimum, no excuses. I agree. Hope you put satire next to that. Should be pretty obvious. Super Bowl is going to announce Starfield is launching that day. I know this because on Sunday I had some Hazy Jane and I fell asleep on the sofa. Phil Spencer came to me in a dream. Listen, if you're just tuning in, smash that like button and contribute to the conversation. Let's set our sights on 500 likes and let's set our sights on 25 members. We haven't missed this member goal since November. And we're not going to start today. If we hit that, I have to gift 5 members to the community. So make sure and help push us there, even if it's one at a time. And I would love to hear what you think. It definitely seems as though the leaks, the insiders, the people that are in the know, you're not going to see Starfield first half of this year. However, it seems Microsoft, according to the leak, wants it to land in the first half of this year, which I am very worried about the pattern that is going to set and what's that going to do for future launches. Gamers judge so quickly. Forspoken isn't even bad at all. It's really enjoyable if you actually put some time into it. I mean, the review scores are pretty bad everywhere. Yeah. Chinny chin chin. That's my man right there. Thank you, Creature. Thank you. I made the mistake, Creature, of I came down here in the office and I already had the table set up for Legos. So I was like, let me crank out 2 Lego vids. And then I was like, oh, I have an hour. I'll get everything done for tomorrow. And then my wife sent me a text and she was like, I made dinner for friends of ours. We need to drop it off before we go to dinner. We were doing something with our church. And she's like, well, we need to drop this dinner off for this friend of ours. And I was like, oh, so I don't have the time I thought I had. So I got nothing done for today. I did everything this morning. I wrote today's show. I recorded the Diablo video. I recorded a video for the rundown. I recorded a video for this channel in the afternoon that we're gonna watch here in a little bit. Yeah, I did everything this morning. Game isn't bad if you put some effort. It can be really fun. Either Starfield will launch in November, says Team November, or they'll surprise drop it in the next couple of months, like they did with the anime game. Forspoken isn't great. It's a 5 out of 10. Is the Lego channel up? Oh, yeah. Lego channel's been up for a while. You can use the Lego command in chat, or just go look for The Brick Abbey. You guys can support that channel, help us get it monetized. Please only subscribe to that channel if you're actually going to consume the content. I'm not asking people to just go sub. Like, we want our subs to engage with the content. It's not helpful to a channel to inflate its sub numbers. A $70 game must be Game of the Year quality for me to buy it, says Drufus. Just look at the disaster that is Forspoken, maybe worth 20. Yeah, but that's a whole nother discussion. Yeah, currently Forspoken has a 57% on Steam. I don't know. That's not a discussion in relation to the $70 price point of games. Like, I guess are we gonna hold Starfield to that? Are we going to hold Starfield to that? Is Starfield then needing to be a Game of the Year contender? Because it's 70. Redfall's now 70. Is that the standard? Is that what we're holding everything to? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Starfield and Redfall are now $70, so... What are you talking about? By the time Starfield releases, it's likely have been a year already. All the major components of the game were done last June. It was playable start to finish. So what are they doing then? What are they doing then? No sleep? All the major components of the game were done last June. It was playable start to finish. So what are they doing? Wait, why isn't it out yet? Polishing? Come on, bro. Bethesda definitely wants Starfield to be Game of the Year, if not Game of the Decade. They're waiting for the right time to release. It's all done already. The increase in price must also have an increase in quality. If not, then no idea why it's 10 more. So, when the gas prices go up at the pump, do you get better gas? When food prices go up, do you get better food? When movie costs went up, did you get better movies? Were the movies suddenly longer? Man, I used to be able to buy Blu-rays, for 20, and they're like $30 now. These movies better get better. They better be longer. Man, this bread tastes so much better than the bread I bought a couple of months ago because it's more expensive. Man, eggs must taste amazing right now because eggs... Right? The inflation costs on eggs. I mean, eggs must literally taste euphoric when you eat them now because their price has gone up. $70 is fine as long as the game is finished with 0 microtransactions. No microtransactions, another great standard for an ongoing game. Poor Diablo 4 isn't going to be up to your standards, I guess. You usually get the same or worse quality food when the price goes up. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't want that in my chat. I don't know, my $8 apples hit the spot. Oh, man. Good morning, Alien Psychopath. Dude, I dropped an egg yesterday and was like, F. Never had that feeling dropping an egg before. I know. You're like, don't drop it. Diablo 4 is going to be a microtransactions fest. No, I don't think it's going to be a microtransactions fest. I think they're going to have reasonable amount of microtransactions. I think they're setting themselves up to be a good live service game. If you guys are just tuning in, the latest information has me saying just delay Starfield. Do not push this game out before it's ready. Having a cadence of games is great, but you need a quality of games as well, right? Hey, now, I got to look another way for that extra $10 take. What do you mean? Thoughts on Forspoken? Mid, as I said it would be. Mid, with bad voice acting, bad writing, clunky controls, non-intuitive combat. I don't think it's worth purchasing. Oh, and they sent me a code, by the way. So, if you want to watch a content creator who, even if he gets a code, will give you the straight shot on the game, they sent me a code, and I didn't hold back. I was like, thanks for the code, but here's what I think of the game. Pocket Sand is not mid. If it's delayed, when do you think it should drop? When is acceptable? So the date that I have in mind that is the absolute best date for Starfield is when it's ready. That's it. That's the best date for Starfield. That's when it should come out. What are you doing? No, I don't need slapped. What, do you guys have any tentative plans today? Okay. Oh, you actually did school. You got him to do it. Good. I feel like Redfall needs to be to breathe a bit. Having Starfield launch in June would suck any momentum that could stir out. Most likely a fall release. So it could be delayed to 2024. I'd be okay with that. I'm not kidding you. I would be totally okay with a Starfield release date in 2024. I'd be totally fine with that. Like, do you want to get a good game, or do you just want the game? Like, it's one of those things where, think of it this way. So there are times when I have been waiting to eat at a restaurant, and there's a really, really long wait, okay? And you get to the point where you're like, okay, it's going to be another 25 minutes, and you start measuring. Well, we could drive somewhere else and try and eat there. But by the time we get in the car, get there, get out of the car, and put our name in, the 25 minutes has been spent. Let's just stay here, right? You get that sunk cost. You're just trapped, okay? So this is a similar situation. It's like, we might as well just wait until it is ready. What am I going to storm the kitchen and be like, give me the food now, or seat me now? Here, let me make the analogy function a little bit better. So let's say the restaurant isn't ready to seat me because they're light on wait staff, but I'm indignant and I'm like, listen, you're going to seat me right now. And so they seat me. What difference does it make if I don't get any service? If no one comes and takes care of me? If the quality of the service is terrible? If the food ends up being terrible because they're like, well, just give him something, just rush it out there. You said yourself you don't have time to play games. Us gamers need it this year, Lono. No. What do you... I'm not arguing for myself. I'm arguing for the quality of the game. If I could play this game top to bottom, front, middle, and end, and dedicate hours and hours and hours of gameplay to it on my channel, which, who knows, maybe I can in the afternoons. Primarily, we do the talk show in the mornings, so maybe I could. I'm arguing for the quality of the game. I want Starfield to be amazing. I don't want it to come out just so Microsoft can say they launched a game. If you order food and it never comes eventually, guess what? You cancel the order and you leave the restaurant. Right, so the analogy breaks down, T-Bone. You can't... Don't stretch an analogy beyond my intentions for it. My intentions were this. If somebody is making you a dinner and it's in the oven and they made some mistakes and they had to make some adjustments and they had to start over a few times, okay? You wouldn't say, I tell you what, I've waited long enough, just take it out of the oven and let's eat it. They'd be like, well, it's chicken, so you're gonna eat undercooked chicken. Just give it to me. Like, you wouldn't do that. You would say, okay, fine, I guess I'll wait a little bit longer, right? I've waited this long, let it cook to completion. That's my argument. Is like, if you're just gonna put your foot down and pound on the table and say, just get the game out the door, it's been long enough, what does it matter if it's undercooked garbage? Muhammad with a 5 spot. They should just announce an indefinite delay. I'm so annoyed with this hot potato release date. Just say ready when ready so people stop moaning. I'm telling you, I said this last year. They shouldn't have said what they said when they said everything in this showcase is coming out in the next 12 months. They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done it. Microsoft could be having a good year with none of this in the mix. Think about it. Track with me here. If they wouldn't have said that, guess what? The Xbox Developer Direct would have no blemishes whatsoever. The Xbox Showcase has no blemishes. Why? They ghost drop a game, huge success, it goes viral, it's selling like hotcakes on Steam. Oh, and also, they gave release dates for Redfall, Minecraft, and ESO expansion. Right? Awesome. Now, it has a blemish. Why? Forza Motorsport, no release date. So everybody's going, hey, wait a minute. What happened? If they wouldn't have ghost dropped Hi-Fi Rush, that would have been the focal point of that showcase. People would have been like, wait a minute. This game is supposed to be coming out in 4 months or less. You don't have a release date yet? Then Forza does a stream the next day. And what's the conclusion from that stream? Still no release date. So, I don't think Forza's coming first half. I think Forza's been kicked to the second half. What's that do? Well, now we got added pressure. Now we got to get Starfield out the door. Dark says Xbox is having a great year. Well, we're 1 month in. I watched his video. I love the guy, and that's fine. Like, we're a month in, right? If you're watching baseball and the first inning is really strong for one team, you don't say, we're having a great game. No, you're having a great inning. You could fall apart in the next couple of innings, as games go. So at one level he's not wrong, but at another level it kind of doesn't matter. It's like, okay, yes, strong January, strong start to the year. You got 11 months to go. I wouldn't start shouting and high-fiving and running victory laps just yet. You got a lot more work to do. You got a lot of more products to land. And I don't mean just get them out the door. I mean, they need to land. No one's going to turn around. No one is going to turn around in August and say, well, Redfall released wasn't ready. It was buggy. It got a lot of bad reviews. And same thing happened to Starfield. But hey, at least we got games. No one's going to say that. No one gets into the 8th inning of a game and says, "Oh man, we're striking out. We're playing terribly now. Oh, but we had a really good first inning." Like, come on. That's not how anybody's going to think about these things. No, I'm waiting to binge The Last of Us. I'm actually excited for Redfall. It's a fun-looking game, but it ain't the AAA masterpiece we're desperate for from an Xbox studio. Speaking of Dark Lono, I made a tribute video to him. I mentioned you in it because that's how I found your channel. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll have to check that out. Doc and I are trying to line up to do something together. They either have him on a show or make a video together. What's next on today's slate? A Hellblade 2 video that it's not coming this year. I say release Starfield early, shadow drop the thing. Here's the thing, 809 line. I'm so glad you said this because I haven't made this point strong enough yet. Ghost dropping Hi-Fi Rush worked not because of the ghost drop. It worked because it was good. You can't just ghost drop a turd. Because everyone's going to be like, why'd you do that for? Why'd you do that? That doesn't make any sense. Yo, Muhammad with the 5 spot. The issue with Starfield was Todd said November 2022 was releasable, needed polish. This set unrealistic expectations, causing release date toxicity. I will agree with you on that. They said too much. So, 809 Lion. If they ghost drop Starfield and it's amazing, it will quite literally be a defining moment for Xbox. People will say, this is what we can expect from Xbox. But you ghost drop a turd and everyone's going to say, what'd you do that for? Why'd you do that? You got everybody's attention for this? Right? Like, Hi-Fi Rush is crushing it. Not because it was a ghost drop. It's crushing it because it's a good game that was ghost dropped. Ghost dropped, like, put jet fuel in the tank of a well-built rocket ship. Right? You could put jet fuel in the tank, and if the rocket ship's not ready for launch, it's going to fall apart on launch. It's going to launch, and all the pieces are going to fall off, and it's going to explode. You're going to be like, oh man, what happened there? They need to keep Todd Howard away from journalists. He talks too much. Right. Hi-Fi is way too childish for me personally. I thought it looked awesome. I gave Microsoft and Xbox high praise for it. I did. Rockets don't use jet fuel. Murph. I will slap you. Bethesda should look at what happened to 343. That's what I'm saying. I know you're making an analogy. Right. Rocket fuel in the rocket ship. There you go. If you're ghost dropping crap, I would say get to a hospital. The Wi-Fi Crush game was a test for Starfield. I defo think they'll ghost drop. When is the Super Bowl? Super Bowl is second Sunday in February, is it not? Ghost dropping Starfield would be nuts. I can imagine it going viral fast, but also could diminish sales since some people aren't prepared. No. FOMO would drive sales big time. If Starfield dropped Ghost and was getting high praise and is in good shape, the sales would be nuts because people are like, oh my gosh, people would clamor to be involved. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it would necessarily, I don't think it would necessarily work against sales because people can't prepare. Xbox been so dry last year that any drop will be beloved. Oh no, I don't think so. No. Any drop will not be beloved. 809. If Redfall launches and ain't ready, and it's obvious it's not ready, that's not going to go over well. People are not going to say, oh, it's a great game. Now, there are diehards that go full fandom that will be like, it's a great game, bro. Ignore the reviews. Ignore the critics. Ignore the performance reviews and bug breakdowns, right? They'll be committed to be like, no, it's a great game. But I don't think it would be described as beloved because you're making people wait and wait and wait. And if they finally get what they've been waiting for and it's not good, then I don't think people will gloss over the problems or the issues. Microsoft is expecting this game to sell systems, says Eugene. You don't ghost drop a game you're expecting for people to go out and spend $500 on a console for. Right. Do we know, though, Eugene, is that from Microsoft? Or is that... Because Todd said that in an interview, but I don't know if that's Microsoft's expectation. I say this because people were over the moon with a game like Pentiment. But wasn't Pentiment highly reviewed and praised? You see what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm drawing a distinction here. Like, if... it's a big qualifier, right? Pentiment launched and was good. Hi-Fi Rush launched and was good. If Redfall launches and is not good, I don't think it gets a pass just because it's like, yay, we're getting games now. Like, I don't think that's what's going to happen. He's feeling the pressure. That pressure is only going to come from Microsoft, says Eugene. Lono question. Do you think there's a limit on how much money Xbox put into Starfield development? If so, they probably will have to force release it because you're going over budget. Well, that's always the concern with any game that gets stuck in development hell, is that you get to a point where it's not shippable, but you have to ship it. Or you're going to lose tons of money, so you ship it, and then you lose tons of money anyway. With so many amazing games coming already, one being delayed to make it great is fine. That's what I'm saying, Masterclass. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't Microsoft and PlayStation have special console bundles for their big AAA titles? Yeah, they do sometimes. Yeah, and that would make you wonder, when's that going to happen with Starfield? Great time to do it with Starfield is if it lands in October, and then 2 months later you start pushing out combo deals for the holidays. Telling you, fall for Starfield sounds real good. Bethesda has a fan base that no matter what they release, it will sell, and sadly that includes me. Now I understand your argumentation. Your bias is showing. At least you own it. I think Microsoft wants Starfield to push Game Pass subscriptions, not console sales. In the words of that sweet little girl in the taco shell commercial, why not both? Why not both? I think it's both, cowboy. Console sales and Game Pass. Especially Game Pass on PC. Xbox needs a Goliath game. Hi-Fi's good, Pentiment's good, but they need the God of Wars, the Spider-Mans, the Ghost of Tsushimas. Right. I agree with that. I really do. 30 days into the new year. Barrier says, 30 days into the new year, Xbox drops a viral indie. Xbox is having an incredible year. Bro, at least wait 6 months. I will cover my bias better from now on. Okay, yeah. Try to keep that thing hidden. Pushing subs how from PC? Well, you have people that use the Xbox ecosystem on PC, and being able to get Starfield on Game Pass would potentially push subs. I think Steam is a giant barrier for that. I think most of the people that play Starfield on PC, 80 to 90%, are going to play it on Steam. You know what I mean? Stray is better than Hi-Fi. That's not a comparison that makes sense. They're completely different games. What happened if they drop within a day of one another? Right, yeah, Bethesda fans play whatever. That's a great point, Creature. Yeah, as big-time Bethesda fans, what do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that, if Starfield releases in June, it's going to be stepping on the toes of the Elder Scrolls Online's, big content drop, right? That's their big content drop. They got a big content drop coming in June. Well, gonna make it tough. If you got Starfield launching the same date, same month, I should say. I mean, doesn't that cause an issue? Doesn't that cause problems potentially? Hey, my man Rob V. I was like, it's been getting kind of quiet on the gifted front. We might not hit it today. There we go. Taking us to 15 members on the day. Let's get the alerts on. That might help. I didn't have the alerts turned on. That's on me. Nick Schrader, Brain Eclipse, Pager, Carl, FAQ, and Saint Ism. You guys all got a gifted membership. A lot of those are very faithful names. Be sure to get into the Discord. And if you guys have ever considered doing a membership on YouTube before, try it out for a month. Try it for $5. See if you like what I do. See if you like my extra additive content. See if you like my community and our Discord. East Coast Overlord with a $5 tip through Super Chat. Microsoft wants to grow Game Pass on PC. In my opinion, their biggest obstacle is themselves. Using any Microsoft software sucks. Steam just works. I seriously think Starfield will come in the summer and be a good game. Okay? I love Steam, but we need more than one storefront, and for them to not suck. Yeah, if Microsoft's ecosystem and storefront starts to look better and perform better on PC, it could be very good for them. By the way, if you guys want to help this video find more people, man, smash that like button. Could I get 50 people to hit the like button that haven't hit it yet? It'll help this video find more folks. The more often you're here, pressing like, chatting, and lurking, the more likely you could get a gifted membership. So make sure you're logged in, getting credit for viewing and listening and liking and chatting, so when these generous people gift members, you might get one. That's the point I tried to make with 30 FPS. Bethesda game real fans do not care, I promise you. Real fans. Oh, the real fans. So I'm supposed to believe the Bethesda Game Studios real fans, the ones that modded Skyrim 10 times over with better textures and better features and things like co-op, they don't care about FPS? Isn't the lion's share of those fans hanging out in places where they've done lots to make the games look and run better? Just so you know, Lono, over on my side of things, people like Lion, Geek, and Dot call me Cowboy. Just in case you hear someone say cowboy. Well, I called you cowboy because it's faster than saying and now your mama knows. I'm just going to start calling you cowboy. I love Bethesda games, but I ain't playing 30 FPS. Yeah, like my video about that, about, Starfield at 30 FPS. I mean, we got really good engagement on that video. We got a lot of subs. We got a lot of comments. We got a lot of views. I don't know, man. I think the tide is shifting on that discussion. I don't think, we've not really discussed this today because I did it as an upload, so we can shift to this topic if you guys want. Starfield at 30 FPS is not acceptable. It's not. Listen, I've been given the Series S grief for dynamic 1080, and then we're hearing reports that there's issues with Dead Space running at dynamic 1080. I'm consistent. I'm like, that's not acceptable. That's not a $70 next-gen remake if it's got to run at dynamic 1080. Now, there's other conflicting reports coming out saying it's hitting 1440 on the PS5. Okay, fine, whatever. We'll see. The jury's still out on that. We're getting different reports on that game's performance. If Starfield comes out and I can't get 60 FPS on my Xbox Series X, what? No. There's no excuse for that, man. And here's what everybody says. This is what I get in my comments. They're like, Lono, there's a big difference between Starfield and Horizon Forbidden West, because I cited Horizon Forbidden West, a big, beautiful open world game that has consistent frames per second. And they're like, and I call it the coffee cup excuse. You can pick up any of the coffee cups, man. Item persistence. Okay. Is that something next gen that I was promised? That I can pick up any coffee cup that I can find? I don't see any headlines out there. Xbox Series X, pick up coffee cups. That's not in the marketing. What's in the marketing is up to 125 frames per second, instantaneous load times, higher resolution, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't care that I can do that. That just sounds like preemptive excuse making. But item persistence, we can pick up everything that we see. Okay, I don't care if I can do that and it runs like trash. Gotham Knights embedded weird decisions with their lighting into the crust of the game, and the game is capped at 30, and people shredded it for that. It's not just item persistence. The most important is the AI persistence, says Doom. Yeah, people are claiming that the Dead Space remake is a best in class remake, and I'm like, I don't. The gaming press is really inconsistent. What did Eurogamer say about what do they say about Last of Us Part 1? This guy issued an apology after being exposed for paying to watch. I don't understand. So he paid. Did he pay to have it made? Or did he just pay to see it? He just paid for access. He just paid to see it? I'm extremely confused on why. So he's apologizing for funding something that's viewed as toxic and destructive to people and is viewed as pretty scummy. I would imagine that's what he's apologizing for. Like, he's funding an industry that's viewed as being pretty intrusive and invasive and nasty. He didn't pay to have them made. In 2023, says Detective Seeds, with the power of these consoles, I should have a choice to play to 60 FPS if I select the performance mode. No more excuses. Give us 60 FPS, not 30. A 5-spot from the Claymores. I speedrun Cyber Shadow, and I found its Game Pass version has performance issues compared to the Steam version. Big time loss just for using the Game Pass version. Well, that's unfortunate. Thank you for the 5-spot. Speaking of consoles, I did want to touch on the image quality and one feature that perhaps doesn't perform as I'd like. Xbox Series X and PS5 both offer a 60 FPS performance mode and a quality mode with RTAO and a frame rate capped at 30. The game targets 1440 in performance mode and 2160 in quality using FSR2, though we did find much lower pixel counts often thanks to DRS. I just feel like people are glossing over that. They're just glossing over that. Visually speaking, the Dead Space remake doesn't match the heights of the Callisto Protocol, but it's still a handsome game with smooth performance across every console. Ultimately, if you enjoy sci-fi horror, you need to give this one a shot. So they literally concede that it's not as pretty as Callisto. Then how... $70 next-gen remake that doesn't match another next-gen game in the same genre, whatever. I don't see why people play Breath of the Wild or Pokemon at 15 FPS, but the hardcore Nintendo fans buy it over and over. Some fan loyalty overcomes issues. Okay, there's numerous things wrong with using that as an example because the Nintendo Switch is super old and never marketed itself as a next-gen console with increased performance and frames per second. The Series X did. Also, people are like, you just expect too much from these consoles. They're only $500. You should maybe go look at all the marketing before you say that because you look silly. I'm not expecting more from these consoles. I'm expecting half of what they offered and promised. Yeah, man, up to 120 frames. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, give me 60. Give me half of that. You're just being unreasonable. What? I think people are more critical due to frame rate than resolution, so Starfield will have big issues if it isn't 60 frames. Right, because, listen, look at this game. Like, look at this game. Look at these areas. If it runs 30 and looks jittery and stuttery, it ruins the experience. It's literally an immersion breaker for people that have experienced 60 FPS. I'm guessing the Dead Space got better favor because there were not multiple versions. 100% that's playing a factor, Detective Seeds. Without a doubt, the greatest contributing factor to Dead Space being praised like the Second Coming is because it's an older game and there was nothing in between. 2008 all the way to now, nothing. Everybody's like, this is amazing. The Last of Us isn't as old and it had a remaster. That's exactly why. That's exactly why people are glossing over the performance issues. That's exactly why people are glossing over the fact that it doesn't look as good as other next-gen games out right now. Apparently, the VRS is killing it. The variable something shader. I forget what it's called now. Shading. Variable something shading. I forget what it's called. Virginia retirement system, that's it. Thoughts on the mod support for Starfield after launch? I'm sure it'll be a huge factor of the game's ongoing success and player engagement. I think people will be playing variable refresh rate. No, variable refresh rate is VRR. VRS is variable rate shading. Yeah. You have to play all the Dead Space remake and the changes that it has because The Last of Us had no changes. I'm literally not responding to that because I'm tired of responding to people who just say things that are false. It's exhausting. Do research and quit lying. Can you actually compare the two remakes as well? One actually remade the game. The other gave it a nice paint job and latest tech for next-gen game. Wait, which game are you claiming just gave it a nice paint job? Can't wait. Can't wait to read. Can't wait to read this. Please, which game just gave it a nice paint job? Variable rate shading. That's it. Variable rate shading. Of course, pixel shading is a mechanism that lets you allocate rendering performance power at rates that vary across your rendered image. Did they add to The Last of Us story? I'm not engaging in this discussion because it's one of the stupidest, most intellectually bankrupt, dishonest discussions in the history of discussions that I've ever had. I simply will not discuss The Last of Us remake with people who insist on saying things like, it was just a paint job, they didn't actually remake it. I'm not engaging in lies anymore. I'm not. If you're going to say something that's demonstrably false and untrue, I don't engage with it. It's exhausting. Go peddle lies somewhere else. It's so freaking irritating, and it has nothing to do with Starfield. We're getting way off topic. You consider The Last of Us PS5 remake or a remaster? Because I consider just a remaster because no new content was added. That's not what determines a remake, though. That's not what you determine as a remake. They rebuilt entire models. They rebuilt all of the enemy aggro. They rebuilt every single environment. Like, they literally rebuilt the game. That's a remake. Like, Since when do we say you have to add content or a story to a remake? That's not how you define a remake. If you redefine remake as, oh, they got to add to the story or change the story, that's not a remake, that's a reboot. Dead Space did all that and so much more. It's just, again, you're just smuggling in goalpost movement. That's all it is. You're just smuggling in goalpost movement. Like, we do not determine if a remake is a remake dependent upon, well, did they add features and content? That's not even a part of it. That's not a part of the discussion. I think each game should be reviewed on their own merit, aside from other releases. I did enjoy the Dead Space remake, but I also enjoyed T-Lu remake, and they both had great features. Yeah, that's all it is, Jake. Dead Space gets a pass because there was more years in the original, and there was no remaster in the middle. The issue could also be related to the fact that you never played the first one. Adding your analytic thought process shapes how you look at it. Hopefully you at least enjoyed playing it. I thought it was fun. If I had time, I would finish it. I enjoyed playing it. I did. I thought it was fine. But resolution dipping into the 1080s and low resolution textures and animations and flat 2D sprites for fog and rain or water, get out of here. That's not a $70 remake. It just isn't. And running to the Last of Us remake and creating your own goalposts of defining remake so that you can say it's not a remake, that's just such a suspicious way of argumentation. No one's ever approached a remake and been like, did they completely change the story? That's not a remake. That would be a reboot. That would be a reboot. Like it's a completely new thing. Look at the Resident Evil remakes. They added content. They changed things that happened in the story. Just making the game look better is a remaster. No. That's simply untrue. Listen, it's intellectually dishonest to say that all they did with The Last of Us remake was, well, they just made it look better. That's not honest. That is not an honest take. They remade virtually everything. Every character model, every scene, every environment. They remade it all. They completely rebuilt the enemy aggro engine from the ground up. That's a remake. It required the remaking of things. A remaster is when they increased texture resolution and the resolution of the game. Like, that's a remaster. Gameplay is king. You always go back to graphics, and you always falsely summarize my argumentation because you're too weak to enter the landscape with an intellectual argument. Quit frickin' doing that. I'm not always going back to graphics. We're talking about remakes. The entire impetus of a remake is to make it look prettier. Like, yes, in the context of remakes, that's the number one thing that you're going to run to. Does it look better? If I tell you we're remaking GoldenEye, the first thing you're going to look for is graphical changes and updates. That's the first thing you're going to look for. If they did a remake of GoldenEye and it looked exactly like the Nintendo 64 version, what would you say? Well, the gameplay's all that matters, bro. Then that's not a remake then, right? You would use the graphics to determine the quality of the remake. I had this argument with Cowboy multiple times, says Lion. He still believes it's a remaster. I explained the same thing. When the developers literally walk out into the public and say, we remade this, 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 and we remade this. And you're like, yeah, it's just a remaster, though. That's just dishonest. That's not an honest conclusion. That's a bias-laden conclusion. Like, that's not... Okay, so if you're going to come to conclusions, it should be based on the facts. It shouldn't be based on, like, oh, yeah, well, this is what I think a remake is. Okay, well, I think a remake should make me a sandwich. Therefore, there are no remakes. Like, if you start off with a faulty premise, your own goalposts, of course you're going to be able to determine something's not a remake. Tilu is a remake with less features than the original release, not worth $70. Again, that's goalpost moving. And the multiplayer is coming free as a standalone title later. It seems like new games are 70. I don't know if there's a degree of quality to determine whether or not they're 70 or 60 anymore. It's also wrong to say that Dead Space is getting better reviews than Tilu because it's a remake of an older game. You don't think that's playing a factor? That's disingenuous at best. Come on. That's 100% playing a factor. It's older. There's a greater deducible and detectable measure of improvement. That is 100% playing a role in people being like, this is an amazing remake. Pizza, please. Like, that's 100% playing a role. I didn't say that's the only reason. I just said that's why people are giving it a pass. This game came out in 2008. It's like more than a decade of time has passed. Of course people are like, oh, this is amazing. Factions is going to be free, yes. That justifies it. Oh, also, Black Brad Pitt. Don't forget the fact that they baked in the DLC into The Last of Us Remake. So that's part of the increased value, is that you're getting the entire game plus DLC that at one time cost money. That's your opinion, not the truth. That's a very fancy way to come up with your own definitions to dismiss something. Like, if you're going to look at a game that says, hey, we remade all these systems, and you're like, yeah, well, you didn't add any content, therefore it's a remaster. I don't really care to interact with your argument. It's intellectually bankrupt. Once the voice actor said they didn't add any new voice work, it was a remaster, not a remake. Again, those are your own made-up goalposts, cowboy. Like I said, I could say, if a remake is going to come out and market itself as a remake, it better make me a sandwich. None of these remakes are making me a sandwich, therefore none of them are remakes. Oh, they didn't do any extra voice work? It's not a remake then. That's just a completely arbitrary, made-up goalpost that you created. If you can create your own definitions, or if your argumentation depends upon your own made-up definitions, you would literally fail a speech and debate class, because that is not how you debate. That's not how you argue. You come to the argument with agreed-upon definitions. You don't make up your own. Making up your own definition is the decimation of your position. That's not how we define anything. If we're always defining our own terms, then we can never have a conversation. Well, I define remake this way. Well, I define remake this way. Well, okay, fine. Like, then the statements become almost illogical. They're nonsensical at that point, because we're all just saying, well, this is what I think a remake is. The Dead Space remake characters look absolutely terrible. Yeah, they look like PlayStation 3 character models. Last of Us is the best game I ever played, so I make the rules. Get out of here. Just because you're charming and funny doesn't make you right. Let's talk about AoE 2 releasing tomorrow. Super excited about that. I have no opinion on that. That clown needs to shut up with remakes of God of War Ragnarok. Oh gosh. I think this whole thing has to do with marketing, claiming something to be a remake when it's basically just a lazy port. So when a real remake comes out, we have to define it again. So you would define what they did with The Last of Us remake as a lazy port? Or like Demon Souls? Nobody wants to answer what Demon Souls is. Yeah, what's Demon Souls? Is Demon Souls a remake? Muhammad with a 2 spot. Age of Empires 2 is the gold standard of remakes. Yeah, what's Demon Souls? Is Demon Souls a remake? Or is it just a remaster? Like, if you come to every remake and you say, I determine what a remake is, this is not a remake, that there's no reason to even put that out there into the world, because no one's going to line up with your definitions. Absolutely, Demon Souls is a remake. If Demon Souls is a remake, then so is Last of Us Part 1. I refunded Demon Souls. They apparently said it was a remake. Heck no. Mafia 1 is a true remake and it looks so much better than even Demon Souls. I'll wait until it's discounted. Demon Souls is a lackluster remake. I'm telling you, when this discussion comes up, people go full. People just go full and say like the weirdest things. Like technically speaking, these games have been highly praised for how much they did, how much work they did, how beautiful they are, and it's like they were mid, they were lazy ports, they were lazy remakes, they were just nice paint jobs, and it's like you just made it seem like why would I ever consider that opinion as worth reading? If Demon Souls has new gameplay and not just graphical overhaul, then it's a remaster. Yeah, see, but you're redefining remake. Taken at face value, remake does not have to add new mechanics. That's, again, you're tacking that on, Cowboy. That's why it makes your position so fragile. Oh, it's only a remake if they add new content or gameplay. That's the only way it's a remake. Wait, what? I don't understand. So they remake every single square inch of the game, but because they stayed true to the content and the story, it's not a remake. You are literally saying Dead Space is not a great remake? Yeah. No, that's not what I said, actually. See, now you're putting words in my mouth. I said Dead Space is not at the graphical fidelity of a $70 next-gen game. That's what I've been saying. Look at Callisto. Look at other $70 next-gen graphical fidelity that's in the market. And then look at Dead Space. If Dead Space was $60, most of my comments wouldn't even have come out. I'd have been like, this is a pretty remake. This is great. I'm excited to play this, man. This thing came out in 2008, and I totally missed the boat on this game. Like, I 100% have never said it's not a great remake. I'm like, this isn't $70 next-gen quality. Like, hitting resolution of 1080? Muddy textures? Come on. Explain the difference between a remake and a remaster. A remaster doesn't remake anything. It increases visual fidelity of existing assets. So the assets have higher resolution textures applied to them. The assets haven't been changed or rebuilt. They've been remastered. They also increase the resolution typically in a remaster because back when these games came out, resolutions were much lower. So a remaster basically takes the existing assets and property and it just makes it look prettier. A remake is a game that has been remade. Well, we took every single character model and we remade them. We took every single environment and we remade them. These are all brand new assets. We remade new animation sets. We remade this. We remade that. We went to the enemy aggro engine and completely rebuilt it from the ground up. Okay, that's not taking existing assets and making it prettier. It's remaking them. A remaster doesn't remake anything. That's the problem with using these terms like this. A remaster takes existing assets and like, hey, that's higher res now. Hey, that's prettier now. Remaster means the master wasn't changed, just enhanced. Right. You're enhancing the existing assets. A remake, you're remaking stuff. It's brand new. Like, if you go and you read all the lengthy blog posts and watch all the lengthy videos about everything that was completely rebuilt in The Last of Us Part 1, calling it a remaster, you just end up looking silly. It's like you're literally looking at a house that was rebuilt from the studs up, and you're like, yeah, it's just nice new paint. And the contractor would be like, are you fucking kidding me? We rebuilt this thing from the studs up. It's a brand new house for all intents and purposes. Okay, I can go with that. Like God of War 3 Remastered is the same game but just looks better. Okay, now we're on the same page. I don't know. What God of War 3 Remastered? What are you talking about? I can't take that position seriously because I don't think it just isn't accurate to the facts. When you stack up the facts about The Last of Us Part 1, it's like you have to ignore those facts to be like, it's just a remaster. They just made it look prettier. Here's the other thing, Cowboy. And this is how it's easy to show the classifications that you're using aren't fair or accurate. There is a Last of Us remaster. There already is one. So you can look at what they did for that and then compare it to what they did for the remake, and there is a qualitative difference. They're in completely different categories of work and results. We literally have a wonderful... That's one of the things I think that hurt The Last of Us remake. People were like, well, I mean, we just had a remaster, bro. Like, come on. We just had a remaster. What are you doing? So people look at the $70 and the remake and they're overly critical. I think that's one of the reasons it got treated more critically than people are treating the Dead Space remake, because the Dead Space remake has no remaster. It's a much older game, so the chasm of difference between the original game and now is humongous. They're like completely different looking games. Graphically, Last of Us 1 Remake is more impressive. From a gameplay perspective, Dead Space is more impressive. They both are great remakes, but Dead Space gets the edge for me. It's hard. They're so different. It's hard for me to accept that. It's such a weird comparison. I'm agreeing with you because I thought God of War 3 and it only looked better. I get what you're saying because the characters' designs were built from the ground up. That's it. See, this is why I like folks like you, because like you're willing to entertain the discussion and have a back and forth instead of just like digging into the platitude of no, it's just a remaster. Like I said, I wasn't going to have this debate, and I ended up having this debate anyway. I didn't stick to my guns. It's just we went round and round on this back in the day, and it just absolutely drove me crazy. It absolutely drove me crazy because it was just one of those things where it was like, my gosh, like how are we doing this? How are we just defining, terms to suit our liking? Like it drove me absolutely bonkers. You solved months of back and forth, Judge Lono. Thank you, 809. Thank you, 809. Hang on. Okay, I had to close something. I think Dead Space has the benefit of not being a remaster. Had at least a gen where it weren't exposed to the game. Yes. That's the thing is like when there's a bigger chasm of difference, it makes it seem like imagine watching a sports highlight of a football team that's about to be safetied and they hand the ball off and the guy runs it all the way for a touchdown. Imagine watching that highlight and then watching a highlight of a guy run the ball in from the 50-yard line. Which play is more impressive? They're both touchdowns, but the almost safetied 100-yard run is arguably more impressive and more pulse-pounding and more exciting. Why? Because look how much farther he went. The farther the distance is between the games, that gap is like, holy crap, look at these pictures, bro. Dead Space looks unbelievable. And with The Last of Us, people were like, well, we just got through The Last of Us Part 2, so we've seen the game in this generation's level of fidelity. We had a Last of Us 1 remaster, so what that does is it makes the differences less deducible. It's like, it looks prettier. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, if you actually do side-by-sides of, like, the original Last of Us of this game, like, if you look at the character models, unbelievable. Like, Tess looked like a real person. I was like, look at that! She just passed away, by the way. 45. I'm 41. It's so sad. She plays the board queen in Picard. She is phenomenal. She's gripping. So sad that she passed away. So young. 45 is just... I don't even know if they've said what happened. And, she could have been one of those celebrities that, was privately dealing with something. I don't know. Oh, was it? Oh, it was cancer. Dadgummit. Cancer respects no one. Hang on a minute. That's really weird. It usually says duplicate CD key. It usually says duplicate stream key. Oh, now it's saying it. What the huh? My man with a $5 tip, and now your mama knows. This is why I wanted you to explain the difference, and once you did, it made a lot of sense. So you can help change my stance on this subject, unlike Lion. Oh, don't be rude to Lion. Don't be rude to Lion. Come on. Come on. Hey, Lazaro with 4 months. Guys, we're getting ready to shift gears. We're getting ready to go watch this Hellblade video and then hang out with members. We need 10 more members to hit the goal. We haven't missed this goal yet since November. You guys want to take some people captive? We need 10 more. We can hit it. I believe we can. We could do it one at a time. We could do it one at a time. Or if somebody wants to go big, but we're getting ready. You guys can take a bunch of people captive here. They can come hang out with us for the post-premiere discussion. You have about 5 minutes before we go watch this Hellblade video. My Hellblade video is very much related to this subject. Very much related. Lazaro said, so back to Starfield. I spent lots of money on my new TV for 120 hertz. Played games on the PS5 at 60 and I'll never go back. That's what I'm saying. Oh, we need 12 more likes as well. Let's smash that like button, man. Let's get it. Let's get our 500 likes. Let's get our 25 members. We had a coffee order. Let's keep it going. The tired of copy pasting my message. I'm out. Okay. I don't see it. Vardeep, are you copying and pasting a message that's too long? I'm scrolling up. I don't see anything from you. If you're exceeding the... Oh, wait, here he says. So Dead Space is a great remake, even with the average fidelity, according to you. But isn't graphics fidelity very important for it to be great, according to you? Okay, you're creating terms and benchmarks and goalposts that I'm not using. I'm not saying great remake versus bad remake. I've said it's not a $70 next-gen game, and that's what they promoted it as. $70 next-gen only remake. It shouldn't look the way that it looks. Thank you for the gifted member from Zinthos, taking us to 16. 9 more. 9 more. There we go. If we hit 25, I got to get 5. Let's get a little member train going as we transition. You guys got 3 minutes. You guys got 3 minutes to get 9 members, or it'll be the first day since November. We're going to lose our streak. Pat's Gaming says, thank you, Zinthos. Yes, thank you, Zinthos. Remakes definitely should come to market at half the market price of new games, or even less if possible. See, but the problem with that is that what the work that goes into them, what kind of work are you going to get if they can only charge half price? Dead Space looks bad. It's got low performance. Digital Foundry's Dead Space analysis? Yes, and they praise it, and yet they admit that there's low-res, low-muddy performance on performance mode on the PS5 and the Series X. Yo, terminal stupidity. And Mohammed jumps in all by himself. There it is. That's 11. We did it. We did it. So that's going to take us to 27. 27. 5 from Bleep, 5 from Terminal Stupidity, and 1 from my man Mohammed. Thank you, Mohammed, for jumping in all by yourself. Whiskey Panda, Kevin Nunley, Snowy, Digit Comet, J Twigs, Option, Uninformed Gamer, J Skin U, CMA. You guys all got gifted members. I'm going to gift my 5 now, and guess what y'all can do? Y'all can come with us after this Hellblade video, and you can hang out with the members and discuss it. The Hellblade video, I'm arguing this game's not coming in 2023. This is very much related to the discussion that we just had about the Starfield release date. Very much related. I am concerned that we're about to see a pattern of Microsoft saying, we want games to ship even if they're not ready, and I really hope that's not happening with Ninja Theory and Hellblade 2. All Fanboys Must Die got a gifted member. C. Bradford, Classic Xander, Drift Juice, and Claudio Lawson. Lono, did you say the VRS that affect the graphics and performance, though? So is it really on the devs and the VRS affects the graphics? Yeah, if you're going to make a $70 remake for these consoles, it should be optimized to run well on them. Will you make excuses about the technology? That's not a good answer. Listen. I'm going to send you guys over there. If you don't want to ride the redirect, click the link in chat. This video is going to premiere any second now. And I think you guys are really going to like this one. I bring the fire. I recap everything going on with Hellblade. I'm like, this game is not coming this year. In fact, it better not come this year. A $5 tip from Brian. What everyone forgets is that remakes and remasters are for people who didn't play it the first time around. Nostalgia buys are bonus for the devs. Guys, I'm going to end this stream. We're going to watch this Hellblade video together, and then we're all going to hang out with members. Thanks for being here. I'll see you over in the Hellblade video. You can click the link getting spammed in chat, or you can ride the redirect.